The marriage portion cannot be produced.
Godfrey, what have you done?
She entered the church expecting to be married. Her bridegroom had chosen not to come, and the letter he sent blamed her. This is The Abandoned Bride, an original Regency romance audiobook, performed with a multicast of individual character voices. Let the story begin. Chapter 1. The Empty Place. Quenby Lodge, near Hartcombe, Wiltshire, April 1817.
Hold still, dearest. Only one more pin.
Selena obeyed, though her smile trembled. Her aunt stood behind her, reflected in the long dressing glass, with a silver pin caught between her lips and tears shining quite openly in her eyes. The bedchamber at Quenby Lodge had never seemed so full of light. April sunshine entered through the tall windows and lay across the pale carpet, the discarded ribbons, and the open box in which Selena's everyday gowns had already been folded away. By evening, those gowns would belong to another house. So would she. Her aunt removed the pin from her lips and slid it carefully into the smooth golden weight of Selena's hair. The arrangement rose in soft abundance at the crown of her head, polished and elegant, with only 2 light curls permitted to escape at her temples. The style revealed the delicate oval of her face and brought out the green in her grey-green eyes. She was a beautiful woman, though the quietness of her manner sometimes caused people to notice her beauty more slowly than they ought. Mrs. Quenby had dismissed 3 earlier attempts as either too severe or too frivolous.
There,
she said, stepping back.
You look exactly as you ought.
And how is that?
Like yourself, only with more silk and considerably more anxiety.
Selena laughed, and for a moment they were both saved from weeping. The gown was ivory silk, newly made and chosen with care rather than extravagance. Its high waist was marked by a narrow band of embroidered leaves, and the sleeves were veiled with the finest muslin that could be obtained in Hartcombe. Selena had protested at the expense. Her aunt had answered that a woman might be sensible every other day of her life, but ought not to be sensible about the gown in which she married. Mrs. Quenby was Selena's aunt by marriage, the wife of her father's brother, but the qualification had never meant much to either of them. She had been one of Selena's mother's dearest friends, and since her death had loved Selena with something very near a mother's devotion. Mrs. Quenby reached into the pocket concealed within her skirts and withdrew a small velvet case. She opened it and held it out to Selena. Selena's breath caught.
I thought it had been lost.
No. Your mother gave it to me for safekeeping. She asked me to keep it until you had a home of your own.
Inside lay the comb that had belonged to Selena's mother, a delicate arc of pale tortoiseshell set with seed pearls. Selena touched one pearl with the tip of her finger.
She wore it when she married your father,
her aunt said softly.
I believe she would want you to have it today.
Selena could not answer at once. She looked down until the sting behind her eyes had eased.
I wish she were here.
So do I.
Her aunt's hands settled gently upon Selena's shoulders.
But she would have been very proud of you. Not merely because you are beautiful today, though you are, but because of the woman you have become.
Selena covered one of those kind hands with her own. In the 5 years since her mother's death, Aunt Quenby had never once made the shelter of Quenby Lodge feel begrudged. She had made room at the breakfast table and within the small habits of the household.
You took me in when I had nowhere else to go,
Selena said.
We gave you a room. You gave me someone with whom I could speak sense.
Uncle Godfrey speaks sense.
Your uncle speaks at length. It is not always the same thing.
They smiled again, but her aunt's eyes filled.
You will come often?
She asked.
As often as Rupert can be persuaded to spare me.
If he has any wisdom, he will understand that I expect a standing invitation.
He has promised you one.
Rupert Sedgwick was the younger son of the late Viscount Belcroft, with all the polish of an aristocratic upbringing but no title of his own. At 29, he was exceptionally handsome, with pale golden hair, clear blue eyes, and an easy warmth that made even an ordinary conversation feel important. He had courted Selena with patience and unfailing attentiveness. Rupert had promised a quiet house made cheerful by friends, a garden in which she might choose every rose, and a future in which she would be mistress of her own home. He had even spoken of children, not boldly, but with a tender smile and a glance toward the nursery windows at Quenby Lodge. Selena had carried that moment away with her and examined it privately, as one might turn a small jewel in the light. She loved him. It was not the fevered devotion of a girl in her first season, but a quiet, settled love, built from remembered conversations, thoughtful attentions, and the future they had planned together. Rupert listened when she spoke and remembered small preferences she had mentioned only once. With him, she did not feel like the dependent niece at Quenby Lodge. She felt known, wanted, and chosen. Her aunt placed the pearl comb in her hair and adjusted it twice before declaring it secure. Then she lifted the fine veil.
When you have a little girl of your own,
She said,
you must promise not to tell her how disgracefully I wept upon her mother's wedding morning.
I shall tell her you cried because you were happy.
Then you must also tell her that I had never seen her mother look so happy.
The veil descended, softening the room and turning the sunlight pearly. Mrs. Quenby drew it back from Selena's face and kissed her cheek.
Be happy, my dear girl.
Selena's composure gave way then. She embraced her aunt carefully, mindful of silk, pins, and dignity, and felt the older woman's shoulders shake.
I mean to be.
She whispered. A knock sounded at the door. Godfrey Quenby entered without waiting for permission. He stopped upon the threshold, and the expression on his face was so unlike the indulgent pride Selena expected that her happiness faltered. Her uncle was carefully dressed for the wedding, but no amount of starch could disguise the grey cast of his skin. His gaze passed over Selena, lingered upon the veil, and moved away.
The carriage is ready.
He said. Mrs. Quenby turned.
Godfrey, are you unwell?
No, merely a troublesome morning.
He attempted a smile.
There was some final business concerning the marriage articles.
Selena's gloved fingers tightened around one another.
What business?
Nothing that need concern you. A signature. A question raised unnecessarily late. Sedgwick's man is overly particular.
Has it been settled?
There was a pause, scarcely long enough to be called one.
It will be.
Her aunt gave him a searching look.
Then you had better not keep the bride standing here while you discuss solicitors.
Godfrey offered Selena his arm.
Quite right. We must go.
The church bells began before their carriage reached the village. Selena heard them through the open window, bright and jubilant above the rattle of wheels. People stood outside cottages to watch the carriage pass. A child waved a posy of primroses. Selena lifted her hand in answer, and Aunt Quenby, seated opposite, pressed her handkerchief to her tearful eyes. St. Michael's stood at the end of a lane bordered by new green hedges. Its square tower rose above the yews, familiar from every Sunday of Selena's childhood visits and every Sunday of the 5 years she had lived at Quenby Lodge. Today the churchyard seemed transformed. Carriages filled the lane, and the last of the guests were disappearing through the porch. The carriage drew up before St. Michael's, beneath the jubilant peal of the bells. Godfrey descended first and held out his hand.
Come, my dear.
Selena placed her gloved hand in his and stepped down. Her aunt followed and arranged the fall of her gown before placing the bouquet in Selena's hands. White roses, creamy stocks, and myrtle trembled faintly as Selena adjusted her grip. She drew a quiet breath and smiled toward the church. Godfrey led her through the porch. As Selena crossed the threshold, the organ began to play. its bright notes swelling beneath the stone arches. Every pew was filled, faces turned toward her, softened by candlelight and coloured glass. Selena saw neighbours, family acquaintances, and Lady Millicent Tresswell in the third pew, handsome and upright in dark blue. A widowed friend of Selena's late mother, Lady Tresswell, had remained quietly attentive to Selena in the years since her mother's death. Lady Tresswell met Selena's eyes and gave her a small, uncertain smile. Selena looked toward the altar. The vicar stood in his place. Rupert did not. Her steps slowed. The organ continued for a few more notes, then faltered into silence. At once the vicar left his place and hurried down the chancel steps toward them, his kindly face drawn.
Mr. Sedgwick has not arrived?
She asked.
I am afraid not, Miss Quenby. I had only just learned it myself. I was coming to meet you at the door.
Beside her, Godfrey had gone completely still.
There must have been some delay.
We shall wait a few moments.
The vicar said.
Mr. Sedgwick may yet arrive.
Selena looked again toward the empty place. Rupert was punctual by nature. He had once apologized for arriving 7 minutes late to take tea. He had made the apology charming, as he made everything charming, but he had not been late again. The murmur behind them swelled, silk rustling against wood as heads bent together. Selena allowed herself to be led into the vestry. Her aunt followed, bewilderment overtaking her tears of happiness. The vicar closed the door, but the thick oak could not entirely shut out the congregation. 100 people whispered very softly and became, for that reason, more audible. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Selena stood because sitting seemed too much like yielding. She gave her bouquet to her aunt before her grip could bruise the white roses. Godfrey moved twice toward the window and twice away from it. At the 15th minute, there came a hurried knock. The vicar admitted a breathless messenger carrying a sealed letter. Selena knew Rupert's hand before she saw her own name. The messenger withdrew. For a moment, the vicar remained beside the door with the letter in his hand, plainly uncertain what he ought to do. Selena held out her hand.
Please.
My dear,
Godfrey began.
It is addressed to me.
The seal broke cleanly beneath her thumb. The letter was brief.
Miss Quenby, information communicated to me this morning has established that the material circumstances upon which our understanding was formed were gravely misrepresented. You permitted me to proceed under the belief that the promised settlement remained available, although you must have known that it could not be honoured. No gentleman can be expected to enter a marriage founded upon such deception, nor can I be required to sacrifice every prudent consideration because the truth was withheld until the final hour. I regret any public inconvenience occasioned by the timing of this discovery. Responsibility for that inconvenience must rest with those who permitted matters to proceed while knowing the promised settlement could not be honoured. R. Sedgwick.
For several moments, Selena heard nothing. Not the guests beyond the door, not her aunt's uneven breathing, not the bells, which had stopped at last. Public inconvenience. Selena read the letter a second time. Rupert had not written of love, sorrow, or even anger. He had written as though declining a disadvantageous contract. She held the letter out to her aunt. Mrs. Quenby laid Selena's bouquet upon the table and took it. Her eyes moved slowly down the page. When she reached the final sentence, the colour drained from her face. Without speaking, she passed the letter to her husband. Godfrey read it standing. Then he lowered himself into a chair.
Godfrey,
Mrs. Quenby said, her voice barely audible.
does he mean Selena's £10,000?
Selena turned to her uncle.
Does he?
His silence answered before he did.
it cannot be produced.
He said at last. Selena took the letter from his unresisting hand. Her aunt stared at him.
Cannot be produced. What does that mean?
There was an investment, an unfortunate one. I had every expectation that the loss would be repaired before it became necessary to transfer the capital.
Selena felt something cold and exact settle within her.
My father left the money in government stock.
Yes, originally, but circumstances required a different arrangement.
What arrangement?
This is not the place.
It appears to be the place Rupert chose.
Godfrey flinched. Mrs. Quenby stared at him as though she no longer recognized him.
Godfrey, what have you done?
Nothing was intended against Selena. I meant only to manage the trust to her advantage. I believed there was time.
Selena looked down at the letter.
Rupert learned this today.
I told him this morning. His solicitor demanded proof of the capital yesterday, and I could not provide it. I went to Sedgwick before breakfast and explained that the money could not be produced.
You warned him and left me to discover the truth at the altar.
I hoped he would be reasonable. I asked him to allow me a few months to restore the capital. I believed his regard for you would outweigh the delay.
Godfrey's face crumpled, but Selena could not comfort him. She could not even feel anger yet. There was only the terrible simplicity of the order in which events had occurred. Rupert had been informed. Rupert had decided. Rupert had written. Her uncle had dressed for the wedding and brought her to the church, hoping a man who knew the truth would appear before the woman most concerned was permitted to learn it. Someone tapped at the door. The vicar looked helplessly toward the nave.
The guests are asking what has happened.
Godfrey rose.
We can leave by the vestry door. The carriage may be brought around.
Selena folded Rupert's letter along its original crease.
No,
My dear, you need not face them.
I have already faced them. They watched me walk toward an empty altar.
She placed the letter inside her reticule.
I will not creep out behind the church as though I am the one who has done something shameful.
Her aunt came to her at once, but her hands shook too badly to manage the veil. Lady Tresswell, who had entered the vestry so quietly that Selena had not heard the door, stepped forward.
Allow me.
She released the veil from the pearl comb without disturbing Selena's hair, folded the fine fabric once, and laid it over the back of the chair.
You need not wear that another moment,
she said. It was a kindness Selena could not bear. Lady Tresswell then moved to Selena's side, placing herself between Selena and the half-open door through which curious faces might be seen.
Would you like me to speak for you?
She asked. Selena drew one slow breath.
No, but I should like you to stand with my aunt and me.
Very well.
The three women returned to the nave. The guests rose in a broken wave. Silence travelled from the front pews to the back. Selena saw pity, alarm, and avid curiosity. By evening, every household in Wiltshire would possess a version of what had happened. She could not prevent that. She could only decide what they would actually witness. She stopped where the aisle widened.
Mr. Sedgwick will not be coming,
she said. Her voice carried clearly.
There will be no wedding today. I am sorry you were brought here to no purpose, and I thank you for your attendance.
No one moved. Selena inclined her head to the vicar, then turned toward the doors. She walked back down the aisle with her head raised. Outside, the sunlight remained offensively beautiful. At the church gate, the little girl who had waved the primroses stood beside her mother, solemn now. Selena stopped and placed the bridal bouquet in her hands. The child accepted it without understanding, and Selena was grateful for that. At Quenby Lodge, an untouched wedding breakfast waited beneath silver covers, with bottles of champagne cooling in ice, ready for congratulations that would never be offered. Selena walked between her aunt and Lady Tresswell. On her left, Aunt Quenby clung to Godfrey's arm, not for comfort, Selena thought, but to keep herself upright. On her right, Lady Tresswell remained close, saying nothing. Before the carriage door closed, Selena looked back through the open porch. Beyond it, she could see the pale stone floor, the flowers at the chancel steps, and the empty place beside the altar. She loved him still. That was the final cruelty. The quiet house, the garden of roses, and the little girl Aunt Quenby had spoken of had all vanished in the time it took to break a seal. But Selena's love had not vanished with them. It remained inside her, bewildered and useless, with nowhere to go. Rupert had not lost a bride, he had withdrawn from an investment. Chapter 2. After the bells. By the time Selena returned to Quenby Lodge, the bells of St. Michael's had fallen silent. 4 bottles of champagne stood in silver pails along the sideboard, their green necks beaded with water. The wedding breakfast stood untouched, a glazed ham, a salmon dressed with cucumber, pigeon pies, and little apricot tarts already beginning to soften in the warmth of the room. White ribbons looped between bowls of roses. At the centre of the table, a sugared bride and groom stood upon a cake prepared for a marriage that had not taken place. 2 footmen waited beside the wall, wearing the expectant smiles prepared for the returning wedding party. Those smiles vanished when Selena entered with her aunt, Godfrey, and Lady Tresswell, but no bridegroom behind her. The housekeeper looked past them toward the open door, as though Rupert might yet appear. Confusion passed from face to face, followed slowly by horrified understanding. Selena still wore the ivory gown, but without the veil it no longer seemed bridal. It was only an expensive garment in which she had been publicly refused. Mrs. Quenby looked at the table and made a sound of distress.
Selena?
Her aunt's voice broke upon the name. Selena could not endure pity before the servants.
Please have the food sent to the kitchen,
She said to the housekeeper.
The servants may take what they wish, and the rest can go to the village. There is no sense in allowing it to spoil.
Yes, miss.
And the champagne?
One of the footmen ventured. Godfrey flinched as though the question had been indecent.
Put it away.
Selena said.
Another occasion may deserve it.
Lady Tresswell's gaze rested upon Selena, steady and unreadable.
First, you will sit down.
I am not hungry.
I did not say you would eat, nor shall we discuss this beside a wedding cake.
She opened the door and led them across the hall into the drawing room. Selena sat because she discovered, upon being told to do so, that her knees were untrustworthy. Her aunt took the chair beside her. Godfrey remained standing near the mantel, one hand braced against its polished edge. When Lady Tresswell closed the door, Selena took Rupert's letter from her reticule and held it out to her.
You should know why he did not come.
Lady Tresswell read it once. Her expression did not alter until she reached the final lines. Then she folded the letter carefully and returned it to Selena.
Now,
She said, turning to Godfrey.
You will explain why Selena's settlement could not be produced.
Godfrey passed a hand over his face.
I have explained. There was an investment, and it failed.
What investment?
Selena asked.
A private concern, entirely respectable when it was undertaken.
What was its name?
He lowered his gaze to the carpet.
Must this be done now?
Rupert considered it urgent enough to abandon me at the altar.
Her voice remained level, but saying his name opened something raw beneath her ribs.
I should like to know what he learned before I did.
The matter is complicated.
My father left £10,000 in government stock. Was the stock sold?
Godfrey hesitated.
It was necessary to alter the arrangement.
Mrs. Quenby's fingers closed around Selena's hand.
Godfrey, answer her.
Yes, the stock was sold.
The room seemed very quiet. In the passage, china touched china as the servants carried away the wedding breakfast.
Then I wish to see every record relating to the trust.
Selena said.
Of course, you shall.
Today, if you please.
The papers are not all here. The bank has the records of the sale, and my man of business holds some of the correspondence.
Then show me what is here.
His mouth tightened.
Selena, I have had a most exhausting morning.
Lady Tresswell looked pointedly at Selena.
Not, I think, the most exhausting morning endured by anyone present.
Godfrey coloured.
Tomorrow.
I give you my word.
Selena had believed Rupert's word. Until that morning, she had believed her uncle's too. Now she no longer knew what either man's word was worth.
Tomorrow, then,
she said. Her aunt rose with her and followed her upstairs. In Selena's bedchamber, Mrs. Quenby began unfastening the wedding gown. Her fingers fumbled over the small buttons, but at last the ivory silk loosened and slipped from Selena's shoulders. Neither spoke while they folded it into the cedar chest. Selena removed her mother's pearl comb last. She returned it to its velvet case and held the case for a moment before placing it in the drawer beside her bed.
I believed him sincerely attached to you,
Mrs. Quenby said. Selena closed the drawer.
as did I.
The words cost her more than tears would have done. The first letters arrived the following morning. Mrs. Quenby tried to keep them from her, but Selena would not permit it. She opened each one at the little writing desk in her bedchamber, while April rain traced wavering paths down the glass. Some were kind. The vicar wrote that no blame could attach to her. An elderly neighbour declared Rupert a coward and underlined the word twice. Others offered sympathy so elaborately phrased that curiosity showed through every line. The fourth letter asked whether there was any truth in the report that Mr. Sedgwick had been deceived concerning Selena's fortune. The sixth assured her that sensible people would understand a gentleman's reluctance to proceed after such a shocking discovery. By noon, Rupert's account of the matter had travelled farther than the truth. Selena drew a clean sheet of paper toward her.
Sir, you will return every private letter I sent you during our courtship. You will also retract your assertion that I knew of any deficiency in my marriage portion and make it known, with the same speed as your accusation has travelled, that I neither concealed the truth nor practised any deception upon you. Selena Quenby.
She read it once, sealed it, and sent it by a groom before she could weaken the words by adding grief to them. Godfrey did not produce the trust records that day. He said his man of business was absent from home. The following day, he said a key had been mislaid. On the third day, he shut himself in the library and sent word that a headache prevented him from receiving anyone. With every delay, Selena's suspicion acquired shape. Rupert's parcel arrived on the fourth morning. Her letters had been tied in 2 bundles with blue ribbon. Selena counted them. 37, from the polite note thanking him for a book to the last letter in which she had written that she could scarcely believe their wedding day was so near. His reply contained 3 sentences. He confirmed that he had returned her correspondence. He refused to make any public statement, maintaining that the conclusion expressed in his letter had been justified by the information available to him. He trusted that further discussion between them would be unnecessary. Selena placed his note with the letter he had sent to the church and locked both inside her writing case. Then she carried the 2 ribbon-bound bundles to the fire. She burned the 37 letters one at a time. She did not read a single one again. She remembered too many of the words already. When the last page curled into black lace and fell apart, there was a knock at the door.
Come in.
Lady Tresswell entered without ceremony. She looked at the discarded blue ribbons upon the hearthrug, then at Selena.
I have come to offer you employment.
Selena stared at her.
That is admirably direct.
Directness saves time, and I am 56. I have less of it to waste than you do.
Lady Tresswell took the chair opposite the writing desk.
I require a companion in Bath. The duties are to manage my correspondence, read with me, accompany me upon calls and walks, and keep order among the invitations which other people insist upon sending. You will not wait upon me. I possess servants for that.
Lady Tresswell, I could not accept charity disguised as wages.
Nor would I offer it. £60 a year, paid quarterly, with board and lodging. When I travel, you will accompany me at my expense. 1 month's notice on either side. Those are the terms I would offer any respectable gentlewoman whose company I could tolerate before breakfast.
Despite everything, Selena almost smiled. Lady Treswell continued.
I need assistance. You need an independent situation. Our affection for one another does not make the arrangement false. I have had no companion since January, and my correspondence has become mutinous. I had intended to engage someone before returning to Bath. Your uncle has merely supplied me with a preferable candidate.
Selena thought of the closed library door downstairs. For 5 years, Quenby Lodge had been her refuge. In 4 days, it had become a place in which every board seemed to conceal an answer Godfrey would not give her. She was not being cast out. Her aunt would have given her a home for as long as she wished to remain. But staying would mean dependence upon a man who would not account for her fortune, among neighbours who had watched her walk toward an empty altar. Bath might have gossip of its own, but it also offered distance, useful work, and the possibility of beginning again.
When would you wish me to begin?
On Wednesday.
That is very soon.
Yes.
Lady Treswell offered neither persuasion nor consolation. She merely waited.
Then I accept.
Mrs. Quenby wept when Selena told her, but she did not ask her to remain. Instead, she helped pack the gowns Selena would need and slipped the velvet case containing the pearl comb between 2 folded shawls. Selena packed the locked writing case herself. On Wednesday morning, the cedar chest remained at the foot of the bed. The wedding gown would stay at Quenby Lodge. Selena would not take it into her new life, but neither could she yet bring herself to ask that it be destroyed. Godfrey met her in the hall, while Lady Treswell's carriage waited outside. He looked older than he had on the morning of the wedding. In his hand, he held a thin packet of papers, far too thin to contain a complete record of 5 years' management.
I will send the remainder to Bath,
he said.
You have my assurance that everything can be explained.
Selena took the packet from him and placed it in her travelling case.
You have given me assurances already.
He lowered his voice.
Whatever you believe has happened, I beg you to remember that this is a family matter. Public accusations would ruin your aunt as surely as they would ruin me.
Mrs. Quenby stood halfway down the stairs. The pain in her face hardened something in Selena that grief had left untouched.
Do not use my love for her to purchase my silence.
I ask only that you do nothing rash.
I have not yet decided what truth requires.
Godfrey stepped back. Mrs. Quenby descended the remaining stairs and held out her arms. Selena embraced her, kissed her cheek, and then entered Lady Treswell's carriage. She left Quenby Lodge without looking toward the windows of the room where her wedding gown lay folded in darkness. Great Pulteney Street, Bath. 4 months later, Selena knew the precise value of respectable employment. It was £60 a year, a pleasant room overlooking the garden, and the right to answer a question without first wondering whether gratitude required agreement. It was work that gave shape to her days, wages that belonged to her, and the quiet satisfaction of being useful by choice. Lady Treswell proved a demanding employer and an excellent one. She dictated letters quickly, expected names to be remembered, and regarded a poorly arranged visiting list as evidence of moral decline. By August, Selena could rescue an invitation from ambiguity, a caller from excessive conversation, and Lady Treswell's spectacles from any room in the house. What she could not rescue was her own name. The story had reached Bath before she did. Lady Treswell defended her with formidable consistency. When one matron suggested that Selena must have known something of the deficiency, she replied,
Miss Quenby was deceived by 2 men upon whose honour she had every right to depend. I should hesitate before repeating Mr. Sedgwick's version of the matter.
The matron did hesitate, at least within Lady Tresswell's hearing. Others were less easily discouraged. No one accused Selena openly of deception, but questions followed her with the delicacy society reserved for cruelty. Had Mr. Sedgwick discovered the difficulty before the ceremony? Had Miss Quenby truly known nothing? Was it not extraordinary that a trustee could mislay £10,000? Rupert's refusal to correct the story had allowed every version to flourish. Soon she heard the phrase spoken behind a fan at a concert. The abandoned bride. It was convenient, dramatic, and complete. It spared people the trouble of remembering that she had possessed a life before Rupert left her at the altar, and might still possess one afterward. Selena learned not to turn her head when she heard it. One wet afternoon near the end of August, she was sorting invitations in Lady Tresswell's drawing room when the butler brought in a card and a sealed note. Lady Tresswell read the name on the card. Her eyebrows rose.
How interesting.
She broke the seal and read the note. Selena continued arranging the invitations by date.
That generally means someone else is about to be inconvenienced.
On this occasion, I believe it may be you.
Selena looked up. Lady Tresswell was watching her with an expression sharpened by surprise.
The Earl of Montford has requested a private interview with you.
Selena's hand stilled upon the invitations.
Why?
Lady Tresswell glanced again at the note.
He wishes to speak to you concerning Mr. Sedgwick.
Chapter 3. The Earl's Inquiry. Montford Park, near Frome, Somerset. Late August, 1817. Rupert Sedgwick was making Daphne laugh, and Nicholas, standing unnoticed in the doorway, had seldom disliked a man more. Rupert stood beside her at the open drawing-room window, turning a sprig of late honeysuckle between his fingers. The pose appeared accidental. Nicholas suspected that very little about Mr. Sedgwick was accidental.
You accuse me unjustly, Lady Daphne,
Rupert said.
I admired the roses. I merely observed that they suffer by comparison with their mistress.
Daphne laughed again.
That is a dreadful compliment.
Yet you understood it perfectly.
He tucked the honeysuckle into the little vase on the table beside her, carefully avoiding the intimacy of placing it in her gown. Near the hearth, Daphne's maid sat with a basket of mending upon her lap, near enough to hear every word and discreet enough to appear not to. Nicholas crossed the threshold. Rupert turned at once, his smile altered by no more than a degree, becoming respectful without appearing servile.
Montford.
Sedgwick.
Daphne looked from one man to the other. Her golden brown hair caught the afternoon light, and the hazel eyes that resembled Nicholas's in shape sharpened with warning.
If you have come to rescue me,
She said.
I am in no danger. Mr. Sedgwick has been telling me why my roses are inferior to me.
Then I have arrived too late. The injury has already been done.
Rupert accepted the remark with an easy laugh.
Your brother has a poor opinion of compliments.
My brother has a poor opinion of anything he cannot enter in an estate book.
On the contrary,
Nicholas said.
I would happily enter that compliment, under losses.
Daphne tried not to smile and failed. Rupert smiled too, but his cool blue eyes rested upon Nicholas with sudden calculation. The look vanished almost immediately. Rupert was exceptionally handsome, with pale golden hair arranged as though wind, rain, and human hands had agreed never to disturb it. His features were regular, his coat faultless, and his manner possessed the polish of a man who had spent years learning exactly what others wished to see. After another quarter of an hour he took his leave. He bowed over Daphne's hand without touching his lips to her glove, thanked her for permitting him to admire the roses, and departed with every appearance of a gentleman who had nothing to conceal. Nicholas waited until the sound of the front door had carried through the hall,
How often have you seen him away from Montford Park?
Daphne's expression changed.
Why?
I know how often he has been received here. I do not know how often you have met elsewhere.
She rose and crossed to the window.
If you mean to make inquiries, I shall save you the trouble. I have met him 3 times at assemblies in Bath and once while walking in Sydney Gardens.
And has he spoken to you of marriage?
Her shoulders stiffened. Nicholas had his answer before she turned.
Not formally,
She said.
but we understand one another.
Does he understand that?
Nicholas.
I ask because I should prefer that your understanding and his bear some resemblance to each other.
He intends to speak when he is able to do so without causing further pain.
Whose pain?
Daphne looked at him directly.
Miss Quenby's.
Until that moment, the abandoned bride had been little more than a name attached to an unpleasant piece of gossip. Nicholas had heard that a wedding in Wiltshire had not taken place because the bride's fortune could not be produced. He had also heard that Rupert had been deceived. The account had varied according to the teller, but society rarely allowed uncertainty to obstruct a satisfying scandal.
What has Sedgwick told you?
That Miss Quenby and her family concealed the truth about her marriage portion until the morning of the wedding. When he discovered it, she begged him to proceed, despite the deception. He could not do so, but he has never publicly blamed her because he wished to spare her further humiliation.
Nicholas considered the extraordinary generosity of a man who had somehow contrived to make his silence widely known.
And you believe him?
I believe he was placed in an impossible position.
Perhaps he was.
You are not going to forbid me to see him?
No.
Why not?
Because you are 20, and forbidding you would neither alter his character nor improve your judgment of it.
Her chin lifted.
There is nothing wrong with my judgment. Every gentleman who approaches me sees £30,000 before he sees me. Rupert does not.
I am not questioning whether he wishes to marry you.
Nicholas said.
I am questioning whether you ought to marry him. I shall have a few discreet inquiries made.
3 days later, Mr. Elias Crowther sat opposite Nicholas in the library, with a thin sheaf of notes before him and ink upon 2 fingers.
Mr. Sedgwick has been consistent upon one point.
The solicitor said.
He was the injured party.
And upon every other?
Less so. To one acquaintance, he claimed that he and Miss Quenby agreed the marriage could not proceed. To another, he said that she had known of the deficiency for several weeks. Lady Daphne appears to have been told that Miss Quenby begged him to marry her after the deception was discovered on the wedding morning.
Nicholas looked down at the pages.
Can you discover which account is true?
Not from people who heard the story over dinner. Miss Quenby is living in Bath as companion to Lady Millicent Tresswell. She is the person most likely to know what occurred.
Then I shall ask her.
Crowther's keen grey eyes lifted.
Ask, my lord?
Nicholas heard the caution beneath the innocent word.
I am capable of it.
Your rank can make a request sound less voluntary than you intend.
Has mine done so?
Not while I have been present.
Crowther gathered his papers.
I mention it so that the distinction may continue.
Nicholas wrote to Lady Tresswell that afternoon. Great Pulteney Street, Bath, 5 days later. Selena had expected the Earl of Montford to look powerful. She had not expected him to look tired. He entered Lady Tresswell's drawing room in a dark blue coat and buff waistcoat, carrying neither the languor of a fashionable gentleman nor the self-satisfaction of one accustomed to being welcomed everywhere. He appeared to be about 34, tall and broad-shouldered, with the sturdy, assured bearing of a man accustomed to long days in the saddle and the management of a great estate. Deep, chestnut-brown hair waved, despite an evident attempt to discipline it. Strong cheekbones and a square jaw gave gravity to his face, while a slightly crooked nose prevented it from being too regular. His colouring was lightly weathered, as though he spent more time out of doors than London fashion approved. Faint shadows beneath his eyes and a certain weariness in the set of his mouth suggested that he had not slept well. He was very handsome. Selena noticed the fact unwillingly and then noticed something more important. His warm, amber-brown eyes did not travel over her in search of evidence of ruin. They met hers directly. Lady Tresswell resumed her seat beside the tea table.
You requested a private interview, Lord Montford,
she said.
You may consider this private. I shall remain.
I hoped you would.
That answer appeared to satisfy her. She indicated the chair opposite Selena. Nicholas sat. When Lady Tresswell offered him tea, he declined it with thanks.
Miss Quenby, I am obliged to you for receiving me.
I have not yet decided whether I was wise to do so.
Something shifted at the corner of his mouth. It was not quite a smile.
Then I shall try not to make you regret it.
Selena had dressed for the interview in a plain gown of muted rose muslin, modestly made and suitable to her position, though its gentle colour lent warmth to her fair complexion. Now she folded her hands in her lap. During the past 4 months, she had learned how readily composure could be mistaken for an untroubled heart. If Lord Montford made that mistake, she would not correct him.
Lady Tresswell tells me you wish to discuss Mr. Sedgwick.
He is courting my younger sister, Lady Daphne Kershaw.
The words were direct enough to hurt. Selena turned her gaze toward the rain stippling the windows. She had imagined Rupert in London drawing rooms and at country dinners, telling his careful version of their history. She had not permitted herself to imagine him bending over another woman's hand.
I see.
My sister believes he intends to marry her.
And you do not?
His intention to marry her is not what concerns me. I wish to know what sort of man she would be marrying.
She looked back at him.
You wish to discover whether I deceived him before deciding whether he is fit to marry your sister.
I wish to know what happened.
So that you may use my humiliation as evidence in your family's dispute.
He went still. Selena had expected denial, perhaps outrage. Rupert had possessed a dozen elegant ways of making an objection sound unreasonable. Lord Montford was silent for a moment. Then he said,
You are right. That is how I have presented the matter. I beg your pardon. I did not come here intending to cause you further pain, but my intention does not alter the fact that I have asked you to recount what happened at the church, for my convenience.
Lady Tresswell said nothing. She poured a second cup of tea and placed it within Selena's reach, a quiet reminder that she was not alone. Selena met Lord Montford's gaze.
If I answer you, Lady Daphne must know that you have spoken to me.
She will.
You will not choose only the portions of my account most likely to frighten her.
No.
And I will not be summoned to Montford Park to accuse Mr. Sedgwick before a roomful of people.
His eyes remained upon hers.
What would you consent to do?
I would speak to your sister privately, if she asks me herself. I will not assist you in managing her.
For the first time, the reserve in his face eased.
Those terms are fair.
Mr. Sedgwick learned that my marriage portion could not be produced,
Selena said.
I knew nothing of it. My uncle had assured me that the settlement required only a final signature.
Did Sedgwick speak to you?
No. He sent a letter to the church. It arrived after I had entered. The guests were assembled. The bells had rung.
Did you send any message begging him to proceed?
Selena felt the question like a hand closing over an old bruise.
Is that what he told your sister?
Yes.
Selena rose and crossed to the writing desk. Rupert's 2 notes remained locked inside her writing case, separate from the letters she had burned. Her hand hesitated above the key. She had kept them because they were proof of what he had done. Time might soften the memory of his voice, but it could not alter the words he had written. She unlocked the case and returned with the letter delivered to the church.
Then you had better read what he wrote.
She held out the letter. Lord Montford took it by the far edge, his fingers stopping just short of hers. His gaze moved across Rupert's measured sentences. Nothing changed in his expression until he reached the accusation of deception. Then his jaw tightened.
I sent him no message,
Selena said.
I did not know there was anything he believed I ought to beg him to forgive. I arrived expecting to marry the man I loved. I discovered before the entire parish that he had already withdrawn.
Lord Montford looked again at the letter, but Selena had the strange impression that he was allowing her the privacy of not being watched.
I am sorry,
he said. There was no elaborate sympathy in it. The simplicity made it difficult to dismiss.
He has also claimed that you agreed the marriage could not proceed,
Lord Montford continued.
Then he has acquired my agreement without troubling to consult me.
Lady Tresswell held out the untouched cup of tea.
You should drink this, Selena.
Selena accepted it. The porcelain clicked once against the saucer before she steadied her hand.
My uncle claims the money was lost in an investment,
she said.
He has not produced complete accounts. I cannot tell you whether Mr. Sedgwick was deceived by him. I can tell you that I was.
Has any solicitor examined the trust papers?
No, I possess only the few records my uncle gave me when I left Quenby Lodge.
Mr. Crowther, my solicitor, made preliminary inquiries into Mr. Sedgwick's conflicting accounts of what occurred. Nothing more. I have not authorized him to investigate your private affairs.
Thank you.
He returned Rupert's letter.
May I tell Daphne what you have told me?
You may tell her the facts. If she wishes to see the letter, she must ask me.
I shall tell her so.
He rose, his height making the drawing room seem suddenly smaller, yet his presence no longer felt like an intrusion.
Miss Quenby, you have been more generous to my sister than either of us had a right to expect.
I have no quarrel with your sister.
No,
he said.
That is precisely what I mean.
His gaze held hers for one quiet moment. Selena became aware of the rain, the cooling tea in her hand, and the disturbing steadiness of his attention. Then he bowed to Lady Tresswell, bowed to Selena, and left. The door closed behind him. Lady Tresswell sipped her tea.
Well?
He listens.
An uncommon accomplishment in an earl.
Selena locked Rupert's letter inside the writing case once more. The following afternoon, a mounted messenger brought a note addressed in an unfamiliar feminine hand. Selena opened it beside the drawing-room window.
Dear Miss Quenby, my brother has told me what you said concerning the morning upon which your marriage was to have taken place. He also told me that you would speak with me privately if I asked it of you myself. I am asking, although I know the request may cause you pain, and that you owe me no explanation. Mr. Sedgwick has spoken to me of marriage, and I do not believe I can decide whether to trust him without hearing from you directly. My brother and I are to receive a small house party at Montford Park for 10 days beginning next Wednesday, and I hope that you and Lady Tresswell will join us. I must tell you plainly that Mr. Sedgwick will be among our guests. His invitation was issued some weeks ago, and I would not have you discover his presence only after your arrival. I shall understand entirely if this makes you unwilling to accept our invitation. Should you decide to join us, you shall be received as our guests, and I promise that you will not be asked to discuss Mr. Sedgwick or the circumstances surrounding the end of your engagement with anyone but me. Unless you choose to do so. Yours sincerely, Daphne Kershaw.
Selena read the letter twice. The second reading did not make Rupert's name any easier to see. Lady Tresswell accepted the sheet from her and read it in silence.
She writes sensibly,
she said at last.
She has invited me to spend 10 days beneath the same roof as Rupert.
She has also warned you that he will be there and given you every opportunity to refuse.
That does not make the decision easy.
No, it merely makes the decision yours.
Selena looked through the rain-streaked window. During the past 4 months, She had learned not to turn her head when someone whispered the abandoned bride. She had learned to speak Rupert's name without allowing her voice to betray her. She had not learned how it would feel to enter a room and find him waiting there. There would be breakfasts, dinners, evening music, and long hours in which politeness would require them to occupy the same rooms. Rupert would be charming. He would behave as though the church, the letter, and the 37 promises he had returned to her were unfortunate details best forgotten. She did not know whether she could bear it.
Do you think I ought to go?
She asked.
I think you ought not decide while the sight of his name still has the power to empty the colour from your face.
Selena turned from the window. Lady Tresswell folded the letter and placed it upon the writing desk.
You need not answer at once. If you wish to go, I shall accompany you. If you do not, we shall send your regrets, and no explanation will be necessary.
Selena allowed the day to pass without answering. That night, she lay awake imagining Montford Park and Rupert moving through it with the easy confidence of a man who believed his account of their history had been accepted. She could remain in Bath. No one could reasonably accuse her of cowardice for refusing to place herself within reach of the man who had humiliated her. But Daphne had asked for the truth. She had asked honestly, warned Selena of what the visit would require, and left her free to refuse. Somewhere at Montford Park, another woman was building a future from Rupert's promises. Selena knew how warm and solid such a future could appear until the moment he placed a price upon it. Lord Montford had read the letter sent to the church, and Selena had given him leave to repeat its contents. He knew nothing of the second note, the one Rupert had enclosed when he returned her correspondence. She had not offered it because the first letter had been enough to prove her account, and she would not submit every humiliation to his examination. But the second note revealed something the first did not. 4 days after the wedding, when Rupert had possessed ample time to consider the harm being done to her, he had refused to correct the account, accusing her of deception. If Selena went to Montford Park, she would place both letters in Daphne's hands and allow Rupert's own words to speak for him. By morning, her fear had not diminished. It had merely ceased to be the only consideration. Lady Tresswell found her at the writing desk after breakfast, with Daphne's letter open beside a fresh sheet of paper.
You have decided?
Selena dipped her pen into the ink.
Yes.
She began her reply.
Dear Lady Daphne, Lady Tresswell and I will be pleased to accept your invitation.
Chapter 4. Montford Park. Near Frome, Somerset. Early September, 1817. By the time Lady Tresswell's carriage turned between the stone gateposts of Montford Park, Selena had counted 7 other carriages upon the drive and persuaded herself not to ask how many more were already hidden in the stable yard.
12 guests,
Lady Tresswell said, peering through the window.
Possibly 14. With luck, they may divide their curiosity among themselves.
Or merely multiply it.
That depends upon the quality of the company.
The house party was to last 10 days. Daphne had written plainly that Rupert would be among the guests, his invitation having been issued before Nicholas began his inquiries. Lady Tresswell had left the decision entirely to Selena. She had accepted because she could not allow Rupert's presence to silence the truth Daphne had asked to hear. Knowing that she had chosen freely did not make the prospect of seeing him less dreadful. Montford Park rose above a broad sweep of lawn, its pale stone warmed by the late summer sun. The house was large without being severe. Windows stood open to the mild air, and pots of red geraniums brightened the terrace. Servants crossed the entrance hall with the quiet assurance of people who knew precisely what was required of them. It was, Selena thought as the carriage stopped, a house accustomed to being lived in. Lord Montford came down the steps before the footman had lowered the carriage steps. He wore a dark riding coat and boots that suggested he had returned only recently from the estate. The weariness Selena had noticed in Bath was less apparent beneath the open sky, though the gravity remained. He greeted Lady Treswell first, then turned to Selena.
Miss Quenby, welcome to Montford Park.
There was nothing elaborate in the words. Their importance lay in where he spoke them, upon his front steps, before the servants and the guests visible beyond the open doors.
Thank you, Lord Montford.
My sister has been watching the drive since breakfast. I believe she considered sending a groom to Bath to determine whether you had escaped on the road.
I contemplated escape until we had gone too far to turn back with dignity.
His mouth almost smiled.
Then I am indebted to your sense of dignity.
He offered Lady Treswell his arm and walked beside Selena into the hall. Several guests had drifted there with the idle interest provoked by any new arrival at a country house. Lord Montford gave them no opportunity to turn that interest into questions.
Lady Treswell and Miss Quenby have done my sister and me the honour of joining our house party,
he said.
I hope you will both find that 10 days among us are not entirely intolerable.
As he spoke, Selena recognized the instant in which several faces connected her name with the scandal. Surprise sharpened, then softened into expressions of careful sympathy. It was a general welcome, lightly spoken. It was also a declaration. Selena was not an intruder admitted for the entertainment of the curious. She was Lord Montford's guest. Lady Treswell's hand rested briefly against Selena's back as they followed him into the drawing-room. Daphne crossed the room at once. She was prettier than Selena had expected, though not in the fragile fashion Rupert had once claimed to admire. Her golden brown hair was arranged simply, and intelligence gave life to her hazel eyes. She took both Selena's hands.
You came.
I said that I would.
People sometimes say things when refusing would feel unkind.
And sometimes they accept, because being asked honestly deserves an honest answer.
Selena replied. Daphne searched her face.
Thank you.
The warmth in her voice made it impossible to doubt her sincerity. Selena had wondered during the journey whether affection for Rupert would cause Daphne to regard her as an enemy. Instead, she saw courage under strain.
You owe me no gratitude for coming,
Selena said.
nor any apology for wishing to believe someone you care for.
Daphne's fingers tightened around hers.
He says that he never intended you to be publicly humiliated.
I do not doubt that he would have preferred the matter to have concluded more neatly.
The answer was sharper than Selena intended. Daphne released her hands, but she did not retreat.
He has been much distressed by what happened.
Selena thought of the 2 bundles tied with blue ribbon and of 37 letters fed one by one into the fire.
Then he was not alone in his suffering.
A man's voice sounded in the passage. Daphne glanced toward the door.
I did not tell him you had accepted my invitation,
she said quietly.
I wanted to see his first reaction before he had time to govern it.
The door opened behind her. Rupert entered and stopped. For one unguarded moment, every trace of polish deserted him. His face lost colour. His gaze moved from Selena to Daphne, then to Nicholas, as though one of them must explain how a woman he had left in a Wiltshire church had appeared in the drawing-room at Montford Park. The moment vanished. Rupert's shoulders eased, and the familiar charm settled over him like a perfectly fitted coat.
Miss Quenby, this is an unexpected pleasure.
Selena had once believed that voice incapable of cruelty because it was never raised.
Mr. Sedgwick.
He came forward.
I had heard that you were living in Bath. I trust you have found the city agreeable.
Bath has been very kind to me.
I am glad.
He turned slightly, including Daphne in his smile.
It is pleasant that we may all meet again without awkwardness.
Lady Treswell examined him over the rim of her spectacles.
Then we must hope no one introduces any,
she said. Rupert's smile remained in place, but the warmth vanished from it. Daphne looked from him to Lady Treswell, uncertainty clouding her expression. Nicholas asked whether Selena and Lady Treswell wished to be shown to their rooms. He did so without looking at Rupert, which somehow made the rescue more complete. A waiting maid stepped forward to conduct them upstairs. Selena's bedchamber overlooked the west lawn. Lady Tresswell occupied the adjoining room, a fact that comforted Selena more than she admitted. By the time the dinner bell sounded, she had changed into a gown of deep green silk and recovered enough composure to descend. Lady Tresswell came through the connecting door while a maid was fastening the final hooks.
Montford received you properly,
she said.
He received us both properly.
He has known me for 15 years. No one required reassurance that I had entered his house by invitation.
Lady Tresswell adjusted one cuff.
Every guest in that hall was waiting to learn how he intended to treat you. He made certain they understood.
I noticed.
Good. It would be a pity for excellent manners to go entirely unrewarded.
Selena met her eyes in the mirror.
You promised not to interfere.
I am not interfering. I am acknowledging proper conduct. At my age, one must take pleasure in it wherever one finds it.
Lady Tresswell returned to her room before Selena could answer. The party numbered 14. Rupert had arrived 2 days earlier. The remaining company included a widowed aunt of Nicholas's, 2 married couples, several neighbours, and enough younger guests to make solitude unlikely. The size and variety of the company made it clear that the visit had not been arranged solely to place Selena beneath the same roof as Rupert. That knowledge ought to have reassured her. It did not. A written programme upon the hall table promised a riding party the following morning, archery upon the west lawn, an excursion to Nunney, and music after dinner, provided anyone could be persuaded to perform. The days ahead offered all the companionship and lack of escape peculiar to a country house party. At dinner, Nicholas placed Lady Tresswell upon his right and Selena upon his left. The arrangement was sufficiently public to silence any lingering doubt about her standing in the house. At the opposite end of the table, Rupert sat beside Daphne. He was at his best through the first course. He praised the soup, remembered the name of an elderly guest's spaniel, and made Daphne laugh over a story in which he appeared foolish enough to be charming and never foolish enough to lose dignity.
Mr. Sedgwick is very accomplished in company,
Nicholas observed quietly. Selena glanced across the candles.
He has always understood the value of an audience.
You make that sound less than complimentary.
Do I?
Distinctly.
Then perhaps I am improving.
The corner of his mouth moved. Selena lowered her gaze to her plate before anyone could observe that the Earl of Montford had nearly made her smile. The talk turned to the proposed excursion. Rupert declared that the road to Nunney was too rough for Daphne's comfort and suggested that the ladies would prefer a drive into Frome. Nicholas did not contradict him. He looked at his sister.
Which would you prefer?
Daphne hesitated, her gaze flickering toward Rupert.
The ruins, I think.
Then we shall go to Nunney, if the weather holds.
Rupert laughed and said he had wished only to spare her an uncomfortable journey. Daphne smiled in answer, but a faint line appeared between her brows. Later, when the gentlemen joined the ladies in the drawing-room, one of the younger ladies sat at the pianoforte. Lady Tresswell took a chair near the card tables, within clear view of Selena. Daphne stood beside the young lady to turn her pages, while Nicholas remained near the hearth speaking with his aunt. Selena moved into the adjoining gallery, where the open doors allowed cooler air to circulate. Portraits watched from the walls, generations of Kershaws composed beneath layers of varnish. She had paused before a woman in silver-grey satin when Rupert's reflection appeared in the dark window beside the portrait.
You have placed me in a difficult position.
Selena turned.
Have I?
Lady Tresswell had followed at an unhurried distance, and now stood near the gallery entrance, close enough to satisfy propriety and far enough to grant them the appearance of privacy. Rupert lowered his voice.
Why did you come here?
Lady Daphne invited me.
You might have declined.
I considered it.
His eyes narrowed.
Did you hope to see me?
Selena stared at him. Instead of disconcerting him, her silence appeared to encourage him. He stepped nearer.
I understand that the manner of our parting caused you pain. Perhaps with time, you have begun to regret what was lost.
What precisely do you imagine I lost?
His mouth hardened.
There is no need for bitterness. I was deceived concerning your fortune.
You learned that the settlement could not be produced. You did not come to me. You did not ask what I knew. You sent an accusation to the church and left me to receive it before the entire parish.
Your uncle admitted the money was gone.
Then your affection for me appears to have been worth precisely £10,000.
Rupert's jaw tightened. For one moment he offered no reply. Then he glanced toward the drawing room.
Daphne is innocent in this matter. If you have come to punish me at the expense of her happiness, I warn you that jealousy will not improve the opinion society has already formed of you.
The cruelty was familiar now. Once she recognized it, no elegance of delivery could make it seem reasonable.
You believe I'm jealous of her?
You loved me.
Yes,
Selena said.
I did.
Triumph flashed across his face before he could conceal it.
Then let us be honest about why you are here.
I have been honest. Lady Daphne invited me, and I accepted. My reasons for doing so are my own.
The triumph vanished.
Take care, Selena.
You forfeited the privilege of using my name.
Music continued in the next room. Beyond the open doors, Nicholas had turned from the hearth. He did not approach, but his gaze rested upon them. Rupert's gaze followed hers and settled upon Nicholas. Anger stripped the polish from his face. Then he stepped back and restored his smile.
I hope your stay is pleasant, Miss Quenby.
I believe it may be.
He returned to the drawing room. Daphne looked up from the music as he entered. Her gaze moved from his rigid shoulders to Selena standing in the gallery. The faint line returned between her brows. This time, it remained. It was nearly midnight when someone knocked upon Selena's bedchamber door. Lady Tresswell had retired to the adjoining room. Selena had dismissed the maid and was removing the last pins from her hair when she opened the door to Daphne. Daphne wore a pale dressing gown over her nightdress. Her hair hung in a heavy braid over one shoulder, making her look younger than she had downstairs.
May I come in?
Selena stood aside. Daphne entered but did not sit. She looked toward the writing case upon Selena's desk, then away from it.
Rupert was angry that I invited you. He demanded to know whether my brother had arranged it. I told him that Lady Tresswell has been a friend of our family for many years, and that, as her companion, you were naturally included in the invitation.
Did he believe you?
I do not know. He said that you had sought him out this evening for the purpose of distressing him.
He followed me into the gallery. I did not seek him out.
Daphne's face tightened.
He says that you remain bitter because you would have married him despite everything, and he refused.
Selena closed her hand around the hairpin she still held.
I did wish to marry him. Until I read his letter, I believed that I would, but I never begged him to proceed. I sent him no message at all.
My brother says Rupert has given 3 different accounts of what happened.
Then Lord Montford told you what Mr. Crowther discovered.
He promised not to manage me. It appears that honesty is his substitute.
Despite herself, Selena almost smiled. Daphne did not.
He also told me that you have the letter Rupert sent to the church. He said that if I wished to see it, I must ask you myself.
Selena looked toward the writing case.
Do you wish to see it?
I do.
Selena crossed to the desk and unlocked the case. Rupert's 2 notes lay inside, separate from one another. She removed the letter delivered to the church and held it out. Daphne took it and moved nearer the candle burning upon the dressing table. She read slowly. Her eyes paused first upon Rupert's accusation of deception and again upon the words, public inconvenience. When she reached the end, she remained silent for several moments.
Was this the first you knew that your marriage portion could not be produced?
Yes.
And he sent no other message that morning?
No.
Daphne returned the letter.
He wrote of your fortune. He wrote nothing of you.
Selena placed the letter inside the writing case but did not close it. Daphne looked at her.
There is something I must ask you, and I do not know whether I have the right.
Ask it.
Did he ever love you?
Selena thought of remembered conversations, small attentions, and a future described so carefully that she had mistaken its detail for devotion. She thought of Rupert's face in the gallery when she admitted that she had loved him.
I believed he did.
Daphne's gaze fell to Rupert's letter.
He asked me to marry him this evening.
Selena went still.
Formally?
Yes. He wishes our engagement to be announced before the house party ends, and the wedding to take place within 6 weeks. He said that any further delay would merely allow other people to interfere.
And what did you tell him?
Daphne met her eyes.
That I would give him my answer before the house party ended. I did not tell him that I meant to speak to you first.
Selena looked at the second note inside the open writing case.
Then, before you answer him, there is something else you should read.
She withdrew Rupert's reply to her demand for a public retraction and held it out. Chapter 5. The Price of Silence. The second letter was shorter than the first. Daphne took longer to read it. She stood beside the dressing table, candlelight falling across the single sheet in her hands. The letter delivered to the church, which she had read only moments before, lay beside Selena's open writing case. Now Daphne reached the final sentence and returned to the beginning.
He says that he could not be responsible for conclusions drawn from facts.
Yes.
But you asked him to make it known that you had practiced no deception upon him.
I did.
And he refused.
Selena looked down at her folded hands.
He returned my letters. He considered that sufficient.
Daphne read the passage once more.
Why did he not simply tell me that he had never asked whether you knew?
You would have to ask him.
I intend to.
There was no heat in Daphne's voice. Its absence was more revealing than anger would have been. She lowered the letter.
There is something I must understand. Did your uncle conceal the truth from Mr. Sedgwick?
He concealed it from me,
Selena said.
I cannot yet say what he told Rupert, or when.
Daphne looked startled by the answer. Selena continued before Daphne could mistake her uncertainty for a defense of Godfrey.
My uncle had always assured me that my father's provision remained intact. Rupert had been told that my marriage portion would be £10,000. I believed my uncle's assurances. Until the morning of the wedding, he had given me no reason to doubt him.
But the money could not be produced.
My uncle later admitted that the government stock had been sold. He has not explained what became of the proceeds.
Why was it sold?
That is one of several questions he has declined to answer.
Daphne rose and crossed to the window. The stable yard below lay deserted, with only a lantern burning beside the closed doors. Beyond it, Montford Park had disappeared into darkness.
If your uncle deceived Rupert, then Rupert was wronged.
In that respect, yes.
Daphne turned.
Yet you believe he ought to have married you.
Selena felt the old pain stir, but it no longer possessed the power to make speech impossible.
I believe he ought to have spoken to me before accusing me. I believe he ought not to have allowed 3 different accounts of our broken wedding to travel through society. Whether he ought to have married me is a question I no longer care to answer.
Daphne's gaze fell to the paper.
When you wrote to him, you told him that his accusation was false.
Yes.
And you asked him to correct it publicly.
I did.
Daphne read the final sentence again.
Yet, he claims that he cannot be responsible for the conclusions others drew, although his own letter invited them to believe that you had deceived him.
He made no distinction between what my uncle concealed and what I knew.
Nor does he appear to have cared what that accusation would cost you.
Selena said nothing. Daphne folded the letter along its existing crease.
I shall ask him why he refused to retract a charge he had never troubled to verify.
He will have an explanation.
He always does.
Weariness entered Daphne's voice.
Until tonight, I believed that was because he had an answer for every doubt.
Now I wonder whether he merely has an answer prepared for every question.
The resolve in her voice did not conceal what the decision cost her. Selena rose and held out her hand for the letter.
A prudent question is not an act of disloyalty, Daphne. A gentleman who asks you to entrust him with your future must permit you to ask how he treated the woman who once intended to entrust him with hers.
Daphne returned the sheet.
You still will not tell me to refuse him?
No.
Why not?
Because whether you marry him or refuse him, the decision must be yours.
Selena placed Rupert's reply in the writing case beside his first letter and turned the key. Daphne watched her.
I wish I had known you before any of this.
So do I.
The following morning, Selena watched from her bedchamber window as 2 grooms led horses across the stable yard below. The house party was assembling for a ride, although the clouds gathering beyond the trees promised that the expedition might be brief. The rain began before the riders had travelled half a mile. By 11, the guests had returned to Montford Park in varying states of dampness and indignation. Lady Tresswell accepted an invitation to play piquet with Nicholas's aunt, while Selena escaped to the library in search of a quieter occupation. She had settled into a chair with a volume of poetry and was attempting to decide whether she wished to read it when Nicholas entered. He stopped upon seeing her.
Forgive me, I did not mean to interrupt you.
You have not. I have been holding this book for 5 minutes without advancing beyond the title.
That is severe criticism of the title.
It may improve upon acquaintance.
He came farther into the room. The door remained open behind him, revealing the passage and the occasional movement of servants carrying wet coats toward the back stairs.
Daphne told me that she had spoken with you.
Selena met his gaze.
She did.
She also informed me that I was not to question you.
And do you intend to obey her?
For as long as I am able.
Selena almost smiled.
How long is that likely to be?
I had hoped you would not ask.
His expression changed, the humour giving way to something quieter.
I am grateful to you,
he said.
You need not be. Daphne deserved the truth.
That does not mean speaking it cost you nothing.
Selena looked toward the rain-darkened windows.
Speaking of that day is painful. Allowing Rupert's account of it to stand in place of the truth would be worse.
Nicholas was silent for a moment.
When I came to you in Bath, I asked you to describe being abandoned at the altar because I wished to judge Sedgwick's fitness to marry my sister. I wish I had understood sooner what that request would cost you.
You understood before you left.
I had already caused the pain.
And then you altered your conduct. That is a far rarer accomplishment.
His eyes held hers. The attention in them was steady without being intrusive, and Selena became suddenly aware of the silence around them.
Daphne may be hurt whatever she decides,
Selena said.
You cannot prevent it by deciding for her.
I know.
You do not sound pleased by the prospect.
I am not. Neither of our parents is living, and my father placed Daphne in my guardianship until she is 21. Standing aside while someone I love approaches danger feels very much like neglect.
Even when standing aside is what she requires.
Especially then.
No,
Selena said.
Restraint appears to cause you considerable discomfort.
It is excruciating.
This time she did smile. An answering warmth entered his eyes. It lasted only a moment before footsteps sounded in the passage, and one of the younger guests appeared in search of a backgammon board. Selena looked down at the volume of poetry in her lap. The title had not improved, but the morning had. The rain returned the following afternoon, imprisoning the house party indoors. Several guests gathered in the drawing room for cards, while others wandered through the orangery adjoining it. The long glass room held the damp warmth of a different climate. Orange trees stood in painted tubs between marble benches, their glossy leaves releasing a faint, bitter fragrance into the air. Selena had paused to examine a cluster of late blossoms when Rupert approached.
May I have a word with you?
If you wish.
He glanced toward the drawing room. Through the open doors, the card tables and their occupants remained clearly visible.
Let us walk.
They moved no farther than the third orange tree.
Daphne has begun questioning me. What have you told her?
What she asked me.
That is not an answer.
It is the only one you are entitled to receive.
His jaw tightened.
You have succeeded in unsettling her.
I answered her truthfully. If that unsettled her, the fault is not mine.
For an instant, anger disturbed the smoothness of his face. Then he reached inside his coat and withdrew a folded sheet of paper.
I had hoped we might resolve this difficulty sensibly.
Selena accepted the sheet without taking her eyes from him. Only when he released it did she look down. The statement was written in a hand she knew too well. Every disciplined stroke and elegant curve was unmistakably Rupert's. She began to read. It declared that a misunderstanding concerning Miss Selena Quenby's marriage portion had come to light only on the morning appointed for her wedding to Mr. Rupert Sedgwick. Mr. Sedgwick had therefore written to explain why the ceremony could not proceed, and upon receiving his letter at the church, Miss Quenby had accepted the necessity of postponement. The engagement had subsequently ended by mutual consent. Neither party had deceived the other, and Miss Quenby held Mr. Sedgwick responsible for no injury arising from the affair. The statement further required Miss Quenby to promise that she would not disclose the contents of Mr. Sedgwick's correspondence, discuss the circumstances of their broken engagement with any person, or contradict the account contained in the statement. The existence and terms of the agreement were likewise to remain private. When she reached the end, Selena read it again. Each measured sentence diminished the cruelty of what Rupert had done to her. The final clause attempted to silence her altogether. There had been no misunderstanding and no agreement. Rupert had made his decision alone and sent it to the church for Selena to receive before the entire parish. A space waited beneath the final sentence for her signature. Selena raised her eyes.
You wish me to sign this.
I believe it would benefit us both.
It is false.
It is a dignified account of a private disappointment. Surely you have endured enough public curiosity.
You mean that you have?
His mouth hardened.
I am prepared to acknowledge the inconvenience you suffered. £500 would provide you with a degree of independence and put an end to this unpleasantness.
£500. It was more than 8 years of her present salary. Rupert spoke of the sum with the calm assurance of a man offering to repair a carriage damaged through his carelessness.
Does Daphne know that you are offering me money for my signature?
There is no reason she should. Once that account is made known, further questions will be unnecessary.
So the payment is not compensation. It is the price of my silence.
There is no need to make the matter vulgar.
You accomplished that before I did.
His eyes chilled.
You would be wise to consider your position before refusing.
I have considered it.
She folded the paper along its existing crease.
No.
Then return it.
Selena held it at her side.
It bears my name and asks me to sign a lie. I shall retain it.
You have no right.
Then summon Lord Montford and explain why you require it returned.
Rupert's gaze moved toward the drawing-room doors. Lady Tresswell remained at the card table, but 2 other guests had entered the orangery and were admiring a lemon tree at the far end. He could not seize the paper without drawing attention. When he looked back at Selena, the last of his charm had disappeared.
A penniless companion should exercise considerable caution before challenging a gentleman whose word society is already inclined to accept.
The warning struck where he intended. Selena knew how readily society had accepted his account once already and how little evidence it had required. But beneath the returning chill, she felt something else. Contempt.
You have mistaken my lack of fortune for a lack of courage before, Mr. Sedgwick. I advise you not to do so again.
She walked back into the drawing room without waiting for his reply. A footman directed Selena to Nicholas's study. The door stood partly open, but she knocked before entering.
Come in.
Nicholas sat behind a broad mahogany desk, with an estate account open before him. When he saw Selena, he immediately set down his pen and rose.
Miss Quenby.
I must show you something.
She crossed the room and placed Rupert's statement upon the desk. Nicholas waited until she had withdrawn her hand before taking it. Then he unfolded the paper. He read it once.
What did he offer you?
Selena had not expected the question.
£500.
The paper became perfectly still in his hands.
He wrote none of that here.
No, he was careful.
Not careful enough.
His eyes returned to the statement.
What happened when you refused?
He advised a penniless companion to exercise considerable caution before challenging a gentleman whose word society would accept.
Nicholas read the statement again. Anger did not make him louder. It drew every line of his face into severity.
Sedgwick will leave my house within the hour.
If you dismiss him now, he will tell Daphne that you denied him the opportunity to answer his accusers.
He threatened you beneath my roof.
He warned me. There is a distinction.
It is not one that comforts me.
His anger was not for his pride or his family's name. It was for her. Despite everything, the knowledge warmed her. She forced herself to continue.
If you drive him away, Daphne may cling more firmly to his account even while she remains here. He will become the injured man expelled before he could defend himself.
Nicholas came around the desk.
You believe he should remain?
For the present.
Knowing what he has done?
Because Daphne must see clearly what he is. If you cast him out now, she may see only what you have done to him.
He looked toward the open door and drew a slow breath, mastering words that would help no one. Then he turned back to her.
What do you wish me to do?
The question affected Selena more deeply than his anger had. Rupert had decided for her. Godfrey had concealed the truth from her. Nicholas asked what she wished.
Nothing today. Daphne intends to question him. If I show her this before he is answered, he will claim that we have conspired to turn her against him.
You mean to allow him to lie to her?
I mean to allow her to discover whether he will.
Nicholas looked down at the statement.
And if he does?
Then I shall show her what he asked me to sign and tell her what he offered.
He was silent for a moment.
Very well. My solicitor, Mr. Crowther, is coming tomorrow. He made the inquiries that first exposed Sedgwick's changing account of the wedding.
Would he examine this?
If you place it before him.
Selena hesitated.
And my father's papers?
That must be arranged between you and Crowther.
Then I shall ask him.
Nicholas held out the paper. When Selena took it, their fingers touched. Neither moved immediately.
I brought it to you because I knew you would believe me,
she said. His gaze remained upon hers.
I hope you also knew that I would ask before acting.
She folded the statement carefully.
Yes,
she said.
I believe I did.
Mr. Elias Crowther arrived before noon the following day with a leather case, ink upon 2 fingers, and no visible surprise at being asked to consider a proposed bribe before luncheon. Selena and Nicholas received him in the library. Selena placed Rupert's 2 letters beside the unsigned statement. Crowther read all 3 documents in turn, compared the handwriting, and arranged them upon the table.
Mr. Sedgwick will claim that this was merely an attempt to prevent further distress.
He offered me £500 to sign it.
Selena said.
Which he was prudent enough not to record.
Can the statement be of any use?
It cannot prove the offer because the sum is not mentioned. It does prove that he prepared an account contradicted by his own letters and sought your promise never to challenge it. Keep it.
Crowther turned to Selena.
Do you wish me to act for you in the matter of your father's trust?
I do.
Nicholas rose at once.
Then I shall leave you to speak privately.
After Nicholas had gone, Selena placed Godfrey's thin packet upon the table. Crowther untied it and examined her father's will, the document establishing the trust, and the few surviving accounts. He asked precise questions and waited for complete answers. At last, Selena said,
Any account for your services is to be rendered to me, Mr. Crowther, not to Lord Montford.
Of course.
If any portion of the trust is recovered, your charges may be paid from it. If nothing is recovered, I shall pay them from my salary, however long it may require.
Mr. Crowther's keen grey eyes rested upon her.
Any account I render will be yours alone, Miss Quenby. We shall discuss its amount when I know what work is required.
Thank you.
For nearly an hour, only the turning of pages and the scratch of Mr. Crowther's pencil disturbed the room. Then he drew 2 papers together.
This is the broker's record of the sale. This is the corresponding receipt from the bank.
Selena leaned closer.
My uncle admitted selling the stock.
Yes, but he described your money as having been lost through an unsuccessful investment.
That is what he told me.
Mr. Crowther tapped the broker's record.
The sale itself was entirely regular. The stock was sold at the proper market price, and this receipt confirms that the full proceeds, less the ordinary charges, were received on behalf of the trust. Whatever happened to your fortune occurred afterward.
Is there no record of a subsequent investment?
Not among the papers your uncle gave you.
Could the relevant papers simply be missing?
Some are missing, but the omissions are not random.
He showed her the numbered account sheets. The sequence passed from 19 to 24.
These records were selected,
he said.
Someone chose what you were permitted to see.
Selena looked at the abrupt leap in numbering. 4 pages had been removed. Mr. Crowther examined the figures once more before raising his eyes to hers.
The stock was not lost, Miss Quenby. It was sold properly, and the money was received.
Selena's fingers tightened upon the edge of the table.
Then what became of it?
That,
Mr. Crowther said,
is precisely what someone has gone to considerable trouble to prevent you from discovering.
Chapter 6. A Stolen Future. The following morning, Selena was seated at breakfast with Lady Tresswell and Nicholas when the rapid beat of hooves sounded upon the drive. A footman entered moments later carrying a sealed packet.
An express from Bath for Mr. Crowther.
Mr. Crowther, who had been reading near the window, crossed the room at once. He broke the seal and scanned the first page. His expression altered.
I believe we should examine this in the library.
A few minutes later, the papers were spread across the table.
In answer to the inquiry I sent yesterday, the broker has supplied a copy of your uncle's written instruction concerning the proceeds.
Mr. Crowther said.
After the stock was sold, almost the entire sum was paid to Henshaw and Pike, a firm of solicitors in Salisbury.
Selena looked at the name.
For what purpose?
The instruction does not say. It merely directs the broker to transfer the money to them.
Then how does this help us?
It tells us where the money went. We must now discover why.
Mr. Crowther rested one finger upon the date.
Can you recall whether, shortly after the 14th of May, 1812, your uncle discharged any considerable debt or made some substantial purchase?
The year carried Selena backward to a dinner in the Quenbys' dining room. Godfrey had opened 2 bottles of claret and announced that a burden which had weighed upon the family for years had at last been removed. Her aunt had wept with relief. Selena, newly come to live with them after her mother's death, had believed she was witnessing the restoration of the family fortunes.
The mortgage,
she said.
My uncle discharged the mortgage upon Quenby Lodge that spring.
Lady Tresswell looked up sharply. Nicholas moved closer to the table.
When did your uncle announce that it had been discharged?
I cannot recall the precise day, but it was early in June.
Mr. Crowther glanced at the broker's record.
Then the 2 events occurred within a matter of weeks. That is not proof, but it is a connection we cannot disregard. The mortgage papers should identify the creditor, the amount paid, and the date upon which the debt was discharged.
The mortgage papers should be at Quenby Lodge,
Selena said.
The question is whether your uncle will produce them,
Mr. Crowther replied.
He gave me only the papers he wished me to see. This time I shall not be satisfied with another selection.
How soon do we leave?
Lady Tresswell asked. Selena looked again at Godfrey's signature beneath the instruction.
Today.
I shall accompany you,
Nicholas said. Selena turned to him.
What of your guests?
My aunt has presided over Montford Park since before Daphne was old enough to receive them. She can lead today's excursion to Nunney, and Daphne will be surrounded by the entire party. I shall return before dinner.
He glanced toward Mr. Crowther's papers.
Your uncle may have retained correspondence showing what Sedgwick was told before the wedding and when. My sister's future may depend upon knowing both. My rank gives me no legal authority over him, but men such as your uncle are often more impressed by an earl than they ought to be. We may as well put the failing to useful purpose.
They reached Quenby Lodge shortly before noon. They had sent no warning. As a footman admitted Selena, Lady Tresswell, Nicholas, and Crowther into the hall, Godfrey emerged from the library and stopped short. His gaze passed over the unexpected company before settling upon the leather case in Crowther's hand.
Selena, I was not expecting you.
No, I thought it better not to announce our visit.
Mrs. Quenby appeared at the top of the stairs. At the sight of Selena, her face brightened with such unguarded affection that pain moved through Selena before she could prevent it.
My dear.
Her aunt hurried down and embraced her.
Why did you not send word that you were coming? Has something happened?
Selena held her for one moment longer than she had intended.
I shall explain. But first, Aunt, Uncle, may I present the Earl of Montford and Mr. Elias Crowther, my solicitor. You are already acquainted with Lady Tresswell.
Godfrey's surprise acquired manners. He bowed.
My lord.
Mr. Quenby,
Nicholas replied. Mrs. Quenby curtsied, although her anxious gaze remained upon Selena.
I have come to examine the remainder of my father's papers,
Selena said. The pleasure faded from her aunt's face.
Those papers are a family matter,
Godfrey said, coming forward with an effort at composure.
There was no need to involve others.
You made others necessary when you gave me only the papers you wished me to see.
I provided everything relevant to your trust.
Then you should have no difficulty accounting for what is missing,
Mr. Crowther said. Godfrey turned upon him.
You may call yourself Selena's solicitor, but that gives you no authority to search my house or inspect my private papers.
I have not claimed such authority,
Mr. Crowther replied.
I am here to advise Miss Quenby and to ask questions concerning funds entrusted to your management.
Then you may advise her elsewhere. I will speak with Selena privately.
I do not wish to speak with you privately,
Selena said. Godfrey's colour deepened.
If Mr. Crowther must be present, so be it. Lord Montford and Lady Tresswell have no place in a family discussion.
Nicholas met Selena's eyes.
I shall withdraw if Miss Quenby wishes it.
As shall I,
Lady Tresswell said.
I wish neither of you to leave,
Selena replied. Mrs. Quenby looked from Selena to her husband.
Godfrey, if there is an explanation, why should you object to giving it before those Selena trusts?
For several seconds, Godfrey said nothing. His gaze moved from Crowther's leather case to Nicholas, then returned to Selena.
We will discuss the matter in the library,
he said at last.
But no one will search this house, and no paper will be removed without my consent.
Mr. Crowther inclined his head.
Then let us begin with your explanation.
Godfrey turned and led them into the library. The room had once seemed proof that Selena belonged at Quenby Lodge. Even the books she had chosen when she first came to live there remained upon their accustomed shelf. Nothing had altered since she left, which was worse than if everything had changed. Mr. Crowther laid the broker's record upon the desk.
The government stock belonging to Miss Quenby was sold in May of 1812. You informed her that the proceeds were subsequently lost in an investment. In what, precisely, were they invested?
Godfrey sat behind the desk.
I have already explained that the venture failed.
What venture?
An agricultural concern.
Its name?
Godfrey glanced toward the window.
The arrangement was conducted privately.
Through which broker?
The gentleman is no longer in business. I cannot be expected to remember every name after 5 years.
Mr. Crowther's voice remained mild.
You sold £10,000 of your niece's stock and cannot remember to whom you entrusted the proceeds.
I was acting under considerable pressure.
From the investment?
Selena asked.
Or from the mortgage upon this house?
Silence entered the room. Mrs. Quenby's fingers tightened upon the back of the chair.
Godfrey, what possible connection can there be between the mortgage upon this house and Selena's fortune?
None whatever,
he replied, without looking at her. Selena met his eyes.
My stock was sold on the 14th of May. You announced that the mortgage had been discharged early in June.
A coincidence?
The mortgage papers should show whether Henshaw and Pike acted for the lender and upon what date the debt was discharged,
Mr. Crowther said.
Produce them, and we shall see whether the dates and sums correspond.
I cannot be expected to know where every household paper has been put.
Mrs. Quenby stared at him.
The deed box.
Godfrey's head turned sharply.
What deed box?
Selena asked.
The black box in the library cabinet. It contains the papers concerning the house.
Mrs. Quenby's voice had begun to tremble.
You told me never to disturb it.
Godfrey rose.
Those documents are private.
The payment of the mortgage is directly relevant to Miss Quenby's trust,
Crowther said.
I shall not have my house searched by a hired solicitor.
He is not searching it,
Selena said.
I am asking you to produce papers that may concern my trust.
Godfrey moved toward the cabinet, but Mrs. Quenby was nearer. She drew a ring of household keys from her pocket.
Marion,
he said sharply. She flinched, but continued. The smallest key opened the cabinet. Upon the lower shelf stood a black deed box, secured by a brass lock.
that is enough.
Godfrey said. Mrs. Quenby turned to face him. The keys trembled audibly in her hand.
Godfrey, please, give me the key to the box.
For several seconds, he said nothing. Mrs. Quenby's courage seemed to falter beneath his stare. Nicholas had remained silent. Now he stepped forward.
Mr. Quenby, if the contents of that box have no connection with Miss Quenby's trust, opening it will establish the fact. If you refuse, the inquiry will continue by considerably less private means. I suggest you spare your family that necessity.
Godfrey's eyes narrowed.
Is that a threat, my lord?
It is an observation.
Godfrey looked from Nicholas to Mr. Crowther, then drew a small key from his waistcoat pocket. He unlocked the deed box. Godfrey stood aside as Mr. Crowther carried the deed box to the desk. The mortgage papers lay beneath leases, receipts, and years of correspondence. Mr. Crowther required only minutes to find the discharge. He set it beside the broker's record.
The amount acknowledged here is precisely the sum transferred to Henshaw and Pike,
he said.
The mortgage was discharged 23 days after the sale of Miss Quenby's stock.
No one spoke. There was no ruined enterprise, no unfortunate speculation. The money had crossed a desk, changed hands, and released Quenby Lodge from its debt. Mrs. Quenby sank into the nearest chair.
You told me that a legacy had enabled you to discharge the mortgage.
Godfrey looked at her at last.
What would you have had me tell you? The mortgage had been called in. We were within months of losing the house.
You discharged it with Selena's fortune?
Godfrey could not meet her eyes.
I borrowed it.
Chapter 7. The Truth. Selena heard the word with remarkable calm.
Borrowing generally requires the lender's consent.
You were 23 and unmarried. I expected to replace the capital long before you had need of it.
How did you intend to replace it?
Mr. Crowther asked.
The western timber was to be sold, and I believed the rents from 2 good harvests would restore the capital.
Godfrey drew a handkerchief across his brow.
The timber brought less than expected. Grain prices fell after the war. Then last year's harvest failed, and several tenants could not pay their rents.
Godfrey's face hardened beneath the pressure of shame.
I did what I could.
Nicholas spoke from the other side of the desk.
What precisely did you tell Sedgwick?
Godfrey looked at him.
What has he to do with this?
He abandoned Miss Quenby upon their wedding day because her settlement could not be produced. He is now asking my sister to entrust her future to him. I should like to know what he was told.
Godfrey's gaze shifted towards Selena.
I informed him before breakfast on the morning of the wedding that the capital could not be produced.
Did you tell him that Miss Quenby knew the money was gone?
No, I told him that she knew nothing of it.
Selena stared at him.
You made that plain?
Perfectly plain.
Nicholas's expression became very still.
Yet Sedgwick told my sister that Miss Quenby had joined her family in deliberately deceiving him, and that she begged him to proceed with the marriage after the truth was discovered.
Then Sedgwick lied to your sister. I told him plainly that Selena knew nothing of the missing capital.
The room seemed to contract around Selena. Rupert had not accused her of deception because he had failed to discover the truth. He had accused her while knowing that she had been deceived herself. For several moments, no one spoke. Then Mr. Crowther returned to the deed box. Near the bottom lay a bundle of old correspondence, secured with faded tape. He placed it upon the desk and loosened the knot. As the letters separated beneath his fingers, Selena recognized one familiar hand.
That is Rupert's.
Mr. Crowther examined the direction upon the folded sheet.
It is addressed to you, Mr. Quenby, and bears the date of the wedding.
He unfolded it and read aloud.
Your assurance that Miss Quenby was ignorant of the deficiency does not alter the circumstances. The settlement upon which the marriage was agreed cannot be completed. I have written to her, and consider the matter concluded.
I did not receive that letter before we departed for the church.
Godfrey said quickly.
It was delivered while we were gone. I swear it.
Mr. Crowther laid the letter upon the desk.
Nothing here proves otherwise. The date and contents establish what Mr. Sedgwick knew before he wrote to Miss Quenby, not when his reply reached this house.
He returned to the bundle. As he separated the remaining letters, Selena recognized another familiar hand.
That is in my father's hand.
Mr. Crowther turned the folded sheet until the direction was visible.
It is addressed to you, Miss Quenby.
Her breath caught. The letter was dated 7 years earlier, during the illness that had forced Selena's father to make provision for a future he would not live to see. She unfolded it and read the final paragraph. Her father had placed £10,000 in government stock for her benefit. The income might be used for her maintenance, but the principal was to remain untouched. It was her independence, he had written, and the security a woman left alone must possess. The words blurred. Selena blinked until they became clear again. He had understood precisely what the money meant. So had Godfrey.
"Give me that,"
her uncle said. Selena folded the letter.
No.
It is a private family letter.
It concerns the money my father left in trust for me, and it was written to me.
"You will not carry it through the county for strangers to examine."
He came around the desk and reached for the letter. Selena stepped back.
I said no.
His hand closed around her wrist. The movement was so sudden that for an instant no one reacted. Then Nicholas was beside them.
"Release Miss Quenby."
Godfrey did not obey. Nicholas caught Godfrey's wrist and forced his hand away from Selena. Godfrey stumbled back against the desk. Nicholas placed himself between them, then turned his head slightly towards Selena.
"Do you wish to leave?"
Not until I have finished.
Selena moved to Nicholas's side and faced her uncle.
You allowed me to live beneath this roof for 5 years, believing I was dependent upon your generosity.
You were never treated as anything but family.
You paid for that generosity with my inheritance.
I preserved this house,
he said.
I preserved your aunt's home. Yours too, had you chosen to remain in it.
No. You preserved your house. You used my future to do it.
Mrs. Quenby covered her mouth with one hand. Godfrey looked suddenly older.
If this becomes public, the family name will be destroyed.
You were willing to let mine be destroyed in its place.
He had no answer. Selena placed her father's letter before Mr. Crowther.
Please make a copy of this, and of every document concerning my trust.
Godfrey straightened.
Those papers do not leave this house.
The trust papers need not leave,
Mr. Crowther said.
I shall list the relevant documents and make copies in your presence. The letter was addressed to Miss Quenby and will be returned to her when copied. If you obstruct the examination, I shall apply to Chancery on Miss Quenby's behalf and ask that you be ordered to produce a full account.
Godfrey remained standing for a moment. Then he lowered himself into the chair. Mr. Crowther copied her father's letter first and returned the original to Selena. He then copied Rupert's letter to Godfrey, replaced the original among Godfrey's correspondence, and gave the copy to Selena. She placed her father's letter and the copy of Rupert's letter inside her reticule before leaving the library. Mrs. Quenby followed Selena into the hall.
I did not know.
Selena turned. Her aunt's face was colourless, her eyes bright with the tears she had not permitted herself to shed in the library.
I believe you.
All these years, I believed a legacy had saved our home.
You did not know.
But you came to us grieving, and the home I offered you had been preserved with your inheritance.
Her voice failed. Selena embraced her. For one unguarded instant, she was again the orphaned young woman who had arrived at Quenby Lodge and been given a room, a place at the table, and arms that held her when grief made sleep impossible. Those kindnesses had been real. So was the theft concealed beneath them. Selena did not yet know how both truths could occupy the same memory. Lady Tresswell came to stand beside them.
I shall remain with Mrs. Quenby tonight,
she said.
Mr. Crowther will need several hours to list and copy the relevant papers, and I do not think your aunt should be left without a friend this evening.
Mrs. Quenby gave a broken sound of protest.
You may object when your hands have ceased shaking,
Lady Tresswell told her.
Until then, I shall consider the matter settled.
Selena almost smiled, but the effort was beyond her.
I cannot bear to leave you here,
she told her aunt. Mrs. Quenby caught Selena's hand.
Nor can I bear to ask you to stay.
Your aunt will not be alone,
Lady Tresswell said.
You should return to Montford Park. My maid will accompany you. I shall follow tomorrow with Mr. Crowther.
"I shall send the carriage back for you both early tomorrow,"
Nicholas said. Montford Park offered more than escape. Daphne was there, still beneath the same roof as Rupert, and still being pressed to decide before the house party ended. Selena now knew that he had abandoned her while knowing she was innocent. Daphne must know it too. Nicholas waited near the open front door. Selena looked at him.
Will you take me back?
Whenever you are ready.
For the first several miles, Selena said nothing. She and Nicholas sat upon the same bench of the Montford carriage, with Lady Tresswell's maid opposite them. Nicholas did not attempt to fill the silence. He sat quietly beside her, and Selena found that his presence required no words to be comforting. Godfrey's betrayal had altered the meaning of Quenby Lodge itself, and of every kindness for which she had believed herself indebted. At last Nicholas said,
Does your wrist pain you?
Selena looked down. Faint marks had appeared above the edge of her glove.
Not very much.
His jaw tightened.
Thank you for stopping him.
I am only sorry it was necessary. I have been attempting not to say what else I should have liked to do.
Would saying it improve matters?
Not in the least.
Then your restraint continues to distinguish you.
He looked at her.
I find that it improves only when you are present to observe it.
The warmth of the words touched her, but it could not reach the deeper cold.
Rupert's betrayal was almost simpler,
she said. Nicholas waited.
He destroyed the future he had promised me, and reached into the past to change the meaning of the home I thought I had found.
Her fingers tightened in her lap.
Rupert deceived the woman he intended to marry. My uncle deceived his own niece, whose future had been entrusted to him.
Nicholas looked at her.
I do not know how to remember those years now,
Selena continued.
My aunt loved me. I know she did. But every comfort she gave me was made possible by money that belonged to me. Even my gratitude feels stolen.
Her love was not entered in the accounts.
Selena turned to him.
In time, you must separate the two,
he said quietly.
Your uncle has taken enough from you. He must not be permitted to take your aunt's love as well.
The composure that had carried Selena through the library finally deserted her. She turned toward the window as the passing hedgerows blurred. One tear escaped. When she brushed it away, another followed. She pressed her lips together, but the breath she drew broke unevenly in her chest. Nicholas said nothing. Between them he rested one hand upon the seat, palm upward. He did not reach for her. He waited. Lady Tresswell's maid fixed her attention upon the passing hedgerows with admirable discretion. Selena looked at the strong, open hand. Rupert and Godfrey had made their choices for her. Nicholas had always left the choice with her. She placed her hand in his. Only then did his fingers close around hers. For a time, Selena watched their joined hands.
What will happen now?
She asked.
Is there any hope of recovering the money?
Mr. Crowther can answer more precisely, but your uncle still owns the estate your money preserved. If he cannot restore the capital by other means, Quenby Lodge may have to be mortgaged again or sold.
Then my aunt may lose her home after all.
Perhaps, but if she does, it will not be because you asked for what belongs to you. Godfrey made that choice when he used your fortune to save the house.
Selena's fingers tightened around his. Nicholas returned the pressure. He held her hand for the remainder of the journey. It was nearly dusk when they reached Montford Park. Nicholas remained below to arrange for a carriage to be sent to Quenby Lodge the following morning. At the head of the stairs, Lady Tresswell's maid continued towards Selena's bedchamber, carrying Selena's bonnet and pelisse. Selena had taken only a few steps along the upper corridor when she heard Rupert's voice. It came from the old schoolroom at the end of the family passage, a room no longer used since Daphne's childhood. The door stood slightly ajar.
A travelling carriage will be waiting beyond the West Gate at 11 tomorrow night,
Rupert said. Selena stopped.
You have already arranged it?
Daphne asked.
I wish to be prepared. By the time your brother discovers that we are gone, we shall have several hours' advantage.
I have promised to marry you. I have not promised to run away.
You promised to trust me. Every hour we remain gives Montford another opportunity to turn you against me.
Nicholas has asked me to consider what I am doing. That is not the same as turning me against you.
He has brought Selena into this house for that purpose.
He did not bring her. I invited her.
A brief silence followed. Rupert's voice softened.
Daphne, if you love me, you will come.
Do not make my love a test of obedience.
I ask only that you possess the courage to choose your own happiness.
The door began to open. Selena stepped silently into the deep window recess behind her. The gathering dusk and the heavy curtain concealed her as Rupert and Daphne entered the passage. Daphne's face was pale and troubled. Rupert took her hand between both of his.
Tomorrow night,
He said.
At 11, I shall be waiting.
Daphne did not answer. He raised her fingers to his lips, then released her, and walked toward the main staircase. Daphne remained outside the schoolroom for several moments before turning in the opposite direction. Neither of them saw Selena. She waited until their footsteps had faded before emerging from the recess. Her hand closed around the reticule at her wrist. Inside it lay the false statement Rupert had offered £500 for her to sign. At Quenby Lodge, Selena had learned that Rupert knew she was innocent when he abandoned her. Now, he had arranged a carriage to take Daphne north the following night. The carriage would arrive at 11. Before it did, Selena vowed that Daphne would learn exactly whom she had promised to marry. Chapter 8. A Question of Trust. Nicholas was in his study when Selena found him. The last of the daylight lay across the open estate book upon his desk, but he was not reading it. He had removed his travelling coat and was finishing the instructions for the carriage that would return to Quenby Lodge the following morning. He looked up as she entered.
has something happened?
Selena stepped into the room, leaving the door open behind her. She lowered her voice.
I overheard Rupert speaking with Daphne in the old schoolroom.
Nicholas set down his pen.
Rupert means to take Daphne to Gretna Green. He has arranged for a travelling carriage to wait beyond the West Gate at 11 tomorrow night.
For several seconds, Nicholas said nothing. His expression became very still, which was more alarming than anger would have been.
Has Daphne agreed to go?
No. She told him she had promised to marry him, not to run away. He pressed her to prove that she trusted him. When they left the room, she had given him no answer.
Nicholas rose.
He has used her affection against her for the last time.
He moved toward the bell pull, then stopped. When he looked back, the anger remained, but it no longer governed him.
What course would best serve Daphne?
He asked. The question touched Selena more deeply than his anger had. He had checked himself and sought her counsel before acting.
She needs to know what Mr. Crowther found today. Rupert's letter proves that he knew I had been deceived when he accused me of deception. I shall tell Daphne tonight.
Do you still have the false statement Sedgwick asked you to sign?
Selena touched the reticule at her wrist.
I have it. She shall see that as well.
Nicholas looked toward the darkening windows.
I shall send word to the lodge-keeper to watch the West Gate and report any carriage waiting beyond it. Daphne will remain free to choose openly, but Sedgwick will not take her from my house in secret.
You will not confront him before I speak to her?
No. Speak to Daphne first. I shall leave the matter in your hands.
His expression softened for an instant.
You have endured enough today, Miss Quenby. If you wish it, I will tell her what Mr. Crowther discovered.
No. It was I whom Rupert accused and tried to silence. Daphne should hear the truth from me.
Nicholas studied her face.
Then let us go to her.
He did not tell Selena what to say or charge her with persuading Daphne. He walked beside her to Daphne's sitting room, then left the women together. Daphne was standing at the window of her sitting room when Selena entered. She turned quickly, her expression betraying the hope that someone else had come. The hope vanished, and she quickly concealed her disappointment.
Selena, I did not know you had returned. How was your visit to Quenby Lodge?
Difficult. But that is not why I have come. I overheard you and Rupert in the schoolroom.
Daphne's colour rose.
How much did you hear?
Enough to know that Rupert has arranged a carriage and that you did not agree to go. The door was not fully closed. I heard him mention the west gate and stopped. When you came out, I stepped into the window recess rather than be seen. I had not intended to overhear you.
Daphne looked down at her hands.
Then you know what he has asked me to do.
Yes.
And you have come to tell me that only a fool would consider it.
I have come to tell you what happened at Quenby Lodge today.
Daphne raised her eyes. Selena moved nearer.
My uncle said that he spoke to Rupert before breakfast on the morning of our wedding. He told him that the £10,000 could not be produced.
Perhaps your uncle never told Rupert that you knew nothing of the missing money.
Hope entered Daphne's voice.
He claims that he did. But we need not rely upon his word. Mr. Crowther found Rupert's letter to my uncle among my uncle's papers.
Selena opened her reticule and withdrew the copy Mr. Crowther had made.
This was written on the morning of our wedding.
Daphne hesitated before accepting it. Her eyes moved across the page.
Your assurance that Miss Quenby was ignorant of the deficiency does not alter the circumstances,
she read. Her gaze lifted slowly.
He knew that the money was gone, and that you had known nothing of it.
Yes. His own reply proves that my uncle had told him the truth. Yet in the letter I showed you, the letter he sent to the church, Rupert accused me of deceiving him.
Daphne returned the copy. Selena replaced it in her reticule, then withdrew the folded statement.
There is something else you have not seen.
Daphne accepted the paper and carried it nearer the lamp.
This is Rupert's hand.
Yes.
As Daphne read, her disbelief slowly hardened into anger.
He wished you to say that the engagement ended by mutual consent.
And to promise that I would never contradict his account.
What did he offer you in return for signing it?
£500.
Daphne looked up sharply.
£500 for your silence?
He called it compensation for the inconvenience I had suffered.
Daphne read the statement again.
The amount is not written here.
No. Mr. Crowther observed that Rupert had been prudent enough to make the offer aloud.
And when you refused?
He warned me that society would accept the word of a gentleman before that of a penniless companion.
Daphne lowered the statement.
He said you had come here because you wanted him back.
Selena felt the old hurt, but it no longer carried shame with it.
He knows that is false.
Daphne walked to the hearth. No fire had been lit, and the polished grate reflected a distorted little image of her pale gown.
If I accuse him of wanting my fortune, he will tell me he wants only me.
Selena waited.
If I ask why he lied about you, he will say he wished to spare me. Whatever I ask, he will contrive to appear either wronged or devoted.
Daphne turned, still holding the statement.
I do not want another explanation. I want the truth. You still love him?
Selena said quietly. Daphne's fingers tightened upon the paper.
Yes. I wish I did not. I wish what you have shown me had made me despise him at once.
Her voice faltered.
Instead, I am still waiting for him to explain it in some manner that will allow me to believe him. He listened to me.
Daphne continued.
Or I believed he did. When other people asked what I had been taught, Rupert asked what I thought. He remembered opinions I had expressed and
return to them days later. When I complained that Nicholas still regarded me as a child, Rupert called my desire for independence courage.
And then asked you to prove that courage by obeying him.
Daphne flinched.
Yes.
He made defiance feel like freedom, provided you defied everyone except him.
There were happy moments too.
Daphne looked down at the statement.
I do not know what becomes of them now.
You need not deny that you were happy, but you must not allow those memories to excuse what these papers reveal.
If I ask him to explain any of this, I shall want to believe whatever he tells me.
How will you obtain the truth?
Daphne did not answer at once. She looked down at the statement, turning it slowly between her fingers. When she raised her head, something in her expression had settled.
By offering him what he claims to want, while placing what Nicholas suspects he wants beyond his reach.
Selena frowned.
What do you mean?
I believe there is a condition in my father's will that may give me the answer. I must speak to Nicholas.
Daphne folded the statement along its existing crease.
May I keep this until I have spoken to Rupert?
Selena nodded. Daphne slipped the statement into the pocket of her gown.
Will you come with me to Nicholas?
They found him in his study, where the lamp had been lit against the gathering darkness. He rose as soon as Daphne entered.
I need to ask you about Father's will,
she said.
If I marry without your approval, what becomes of my marriage portion?
The greater part remains in the hands of the trustees. You would receive only the smaller sum settled upon you without condition.
Would it be enough for me to live upon?
Modestly, if it were managed with care.
Daphne drew a breath.
Then Rupert does not know. I never told him of that condition.
Nicholas glanced at Selena before returning his attention to his sister.
What do you intend to tell him?
That you will not approve our marriage, but that I am willing to go with him without the full portion.
Nicholas's expression became grave.
You mean to discover whether he will take you without your fortune?
Yes.
You need not prove his character to me. I have already seen enough.
I am not doing it for you.
For yourself?
He said.
Yes.
And if he chooses you?
Pain moved across Daphne's face.
Then I shall have a far more difficult decision to make.
And if he refuses?
Then I will finally have the truth.
Some of the severity left Nicholas's expression.
I cannot give my approval after what we have discovered. Father entrusted that judgment to me, and I cannot pretend Sedgwick is worthy of you merely to spare you pain. But my refusal is not intended to compel your choice. If you marry him without the full portion, you will remain my sister, and you will always be welcome here.
Daphne's eyes filled, but no tears fell.
I thought you would forbid me.
Nicholas was silent for a moment.
I have sometimes spoken as though a brother's concern gave me the right to command you. It does not.
But you would have opposed the marriage.
With every argument at my disposal.
Is that so different?
An argument leaves you free to answer. A command does not.
I should have told you about the engagement.
I wish you had.
I thought keeping it secret made the choice entirely my own.
It only left you to face its consequences alone.
Daphne lowered her eyes.
I understand that now.
Nicholas waited until she looked at him again.
I would prefer to be present when you speak to Sedgwick.
No, nor can Selena be there. He would direct every answer toward one of you.
Then the door will remain open, with a footman in the passage. I shall stay close enough to come if you ring.
You will not enter unless I send for you.
You have my word.
When do you mean to speak to him?
Selena asked.
Tomorrow morning.
Daphne's hand closed over the hidden statement.
Tonight I shall allow myself one last hope. Tomorrow I shall learn whether Rupert ever wanted me at all, or only the fortune that would come with me.
Chapter 9. What he wanted. Rupert came to the morning room shortly after 10 the following day. Daphne had chosen it because the open door allowed anyone passing to see them, while the room's distance from the other occupied apartments kept their conversation private. She stood beside a small writing table, one hand resting upon the statement Rupert had asked Selena to sign. The shadows beneath her eyes betrayed a sleepless night. Rupert entered smiling.
You wish to see me?
I have considered what you asked of me.
Daphne made herself hold his gaze.
I have decided to come with you.
Rupert crossed the space between them and took both her hands.
I knew that once you had considered the matter alone, courage would prevail.
The familiar warmth of his touch made it harder for Daphne to continue.
There is something you must know. Nicholas will not approve our marriage. Under my father's will, I cannot receive my full marriage portion without his consent.
Rupert's fingers loosened. He released her hands and moved away.
How much of your marriage portion depends upon his consent?
The greater part.
He turned back to her.
And what would remain?
Enough for us to live modestly. I am still willing to come with you.
My dear girl, you cannot expect me to permit you to forfeit what is rightfully yours merely because your brother has chosen to be vindictive.
You were willing for me to leave my family and risk my reputation.
An estrangement may be repaired. A fortune once forfeited cannot be recovered.
Then we shall live without it.
His expression hardened.
You do not understand what you are proposing. A gentleman must consider how he will maintain his wife and household.
You told me that being together was all that mattered.
To our happiness, yes. But a husband must also consider how that happiness is to be maintained. Affection does not pay tradesmen or provide a home suitable to our station.
Daphne's hand remained steady upon the writing table.
Will you marry me without the full portion?
You must persuade Nicholas to give his consent.
And if he refuses?
Then we postpone our departure until he can be brought to reason.
Yesterday, you said that delay proved I did not trust you.
Yesterday, I did not know what delay might preserve.
So you would make our marriage dependent upon Nicholas's approval?
Montford is the one who has made it so.
No. I am willing to come without the money. Then our future need not depend upon him at all.
Once you are my wife, what concerns your fortune concerns us both.
Would it still be my fortune?
There should be no yours and mine between husband and wife.
Daphne looked down at the statement beneath her hand.
Was that what you told Selena when you expected her to bring £10,000 to the marriage?
At Selena's name, Rupert's expression hardened.
This has nothing to do with her.
It has everything to do with her. When her money could not be produced, you left her at the church. Now you will not marry me unless my full portion accompanies me.
I have not said that.
You have not said that you will marry me without it.
Rupert's mouth tightened.
The circumstances are not comparable. Her family deceived me.
She did not.
That distinction did not restore the money.
Rupert seemed to hear his own answer only after he had spoken. For an instant, his face held nothing but calculation. The familiar charm returned too late. Daphne lifted the statement from the writing table.
You knew Selena was innocent. Mr. Crowther found your letter to Mr. Quenby, which you sent him on the morning of the wedding. Nicholas was present when Mr. Crowther read the letter aloud, and Selena has a copy. In your own hand, you acknowledged that she knew nothing of the missing £10,000.
Rupert said nothing.
Yet you sent a letter to the church accusing her of deceiving you, and afterward you offered her £500 for her signature upon this lie.
The statement contains no mention of £500.
No, you were careful to make that offer aloud, but this is in your hand, and it asks Selena to support a false account and promise never to contradict you.
I attempted to bring a painful business to a dignified conclusion. She has twisted an act of generosity into a weapon because she cannot bear to see me happy with another woman.
She told me the truth and left the decision with me.
Rupert's composure broke.
She is a penniless dependent who has attached herself to your brother and discovered that revenge may be profitable. You cannot truly prefer her account to mine.
Daphne looked at the handsome face that had once seemed most truthful when it was tender. Some part of her still waited for him to give her one reason to doubt what she now understood. Instead, she saw the effort behind every expression and the calculation beneath every promise.
Nicholas has not asked me to believe Selena. I believe her because her account is supported by your own letters, this statement, and everything you have said to me this morning.
She placed the paper upon the table between them.
There will be no carriage tonight, and no marriage between us. Our engagement is ended.
Daphne.
Do not call me Daphne again.
His face hardened.
You will regret allowing an embittered woman to destroy your happiness.
Perhaps, but I would rather grieve for the man I believed you to be than marry the man before me.
Daphne crossed to the bell pull and rang. When a footman appeared, she said,
Please ask my brother to come to the morning room.
The footman returned almost at once with Nicholas, then resumed his place in the passage. Nicholas's gaze moved from Daphne to Rupert, then to the statement upon the table. Rupert spoke first.
This farce has gone far enough. Your sister has been distressed and manipulated beneath your own roof.
Nicholas looked at Daphne.
Daphne.
I have ended the engagement.
He gave one short nod. Rupert turned toward him.
You cannot intend to accept this performance without hearing me.
My sister has heard it. She has ended the engagement.
Nicholas turned to the waiting footman.
Mr. Sedgwick's belongings are to be packed. Have a carriage brought round within half an hour.
Rupert's colour rose.
You expect me to accept this insult?
I require only that you leave my house.
And if I demand satisfaction?
I shall decline to give your conduct the appearance of honour by meeting you.
Rupert looked from Nicholas to Daphne. Neither moved. At last, he walked out of the room. Nicholas waited until his footsteps had receded before turning to his sister. Daphne's composure deserted her all at once.
I thought it would feel like freedom,
she said. Nicholas held out his arms. Daphne crossed the space between them and pressed her face against his shoulder.
It feels like grief.
His arms tightened around her. He had helped to save her from a marriage founded upon deceit. He could not save her from mourning the man she had believed Rupert to be. Selena found Daphne in her bedchamber a short while later. She sat beside the window in her pale morning gown, with the false statement folded in her lap.
Nicholas told me what happened,
Selena said. Daphne raised her eyes.
I did love him.
She held out the folded page.
This belongs to you.
Selena returned the statement to her reticule before taking the chair beside her. Daphne looked back toward the window.
Loving him feels foolish now. It was not foolish. You loved the man you believed him to be. Learning the truth cannot make that love vanish at once.
Daphne looked at her.
Did you feel this when he left you?
Yes, and I had no truth to comfort me then.
Daphne held out her hand. Selena took it. Neither spoke again until carriage wheels sounded upon the drive below and faded toward the gates. That evening, Selena walked in the walled garden beyond the east lawn. The lighted windows of Montford Park were partly hidden by the trees, and the music of the house party reached her only when the breeze carried it across the grounds. She stopped beneath a stone arch covered in climbing roses. The day's warmth still lingered in the sheltered garden, though the first stars had appeared overhead. A footstep sounded upon the gravel behind her. Nicholas came through the archway.
Daphne is with my aunt,
he said.
She has cried, eaten half a slice of seed cake, and informed me that she does not require watching.
Then she is recovering.
My aunt reached the same conclusion.
He came to stand beside Selena.
Daphne told me what passed between them before she rang for me.
I am glad she found the courage to end the engagement.
You gave her the truth that made such courage possible.
She deserved to know the character of the man she was being asked to trust.
She did, and I am grateful that you told her.
His voice lowered.
But gratitude is not why I followed you.
Selena turned toward him. He was close enough that she could make out the gravity in his expression.
Daphne has escaped a marriage that would have made her miserable,
she said.
Relief can resemble other feelings.
Not this closely.
Her breath caught. Nicholas continued.
I wanted to be near you before I knew Sedgwick meant to persuade Daphne to elope, before we learned what your uncle had done, and before there was any hope that your fortune might be recovered. I have looked for you in every room since you entered this house.
The distant music seemed to recede.
Why?
She asked.
Because your courage requires no witness. Because you would rather face a painful truth than accept a comforting lie. Because your good opinion makes me wish to deserve it.
His gaze moved over her face.
And because whenever you are near me, I find myself wanting what I have no right to take.
Warmth rose beneath Selena's skin. He lifted one hand but stopped before touching her.
May I kiss you?
Rupert had tried to purchase her silence. Godfrey had spent her fortune without asking. Nicholas asked and waited. Selena closed the small distance between them.
Yes.
His fingers touched her cheek, and the first brush of his mouth against hers was almost unbearably gentle. Then she leaned closer. The kiss deepened. Nicholas's other hand settled at her waist, drawing her against the solid warmth of him. Selena caught the lapel of his coat, felt his breath change, and discovered that longing could be both fierce and safe. Nicholas drew back slowly. For a moment his forehead rested against hers.
That was most unwise,
he murmured.
What was?
Imagining that one kiss would suffice.
Selena laughed softly, the sound unsteady with happiness. The distant music reached them again. Nicholas released her reluctantly and offered his arm.
We should return before our absence is noticed.
Selena placed her hand upon his sleeve. Neither spoke as they followed the gravel path toward the lighted house, but she remained conscious of the warmth of his arm beneath her fingers. During the remaining days of the house party, Nicholas neither repeated the kiss nor sought another private meeting with Selena, nor did he avoid her. Their conversations took place at crowded breakfast tables, during walks in company, and in the drawing room while other guests played cards. The awareness between them remained private, but Selena felt it whenever his attention found her across a room. One morning, Nicholas disputed her judgment of a novel she had abandoned before reaching the final volume.
You cannot condemn an ending you have not read.
I can condemn the 100 pages that made reaching it impossible.
Finish it, and then you may condemn the whole with authority.
Selena accepted the challenge. Their disagreement survived 2 dinners and an excursion to the ruins of Farleigh Hungerford Castle before she conceded that the ending possessed one tolerable chapter. Nicholas declared himself satisfied with the victory. When the house party ended, Selena and Lady Tresswell intended to return to Bath with the other guests. Daphne asked them to remain for another fortnight.
The house will be very quiet when everyone has gone,
she said.
I am not yet certain that quiet would be good for me.
Lady Tresswell looked to Selena before accepting. Nicholas made no request of his own.
You will both be welcome for as long as you choose to stay,
he said. The crowded activity of the house party gave way to a gentler routine. Selena breakfasted with the family, walked with Daphne and Nicholas's aunt, and spent long mornings answering Lady Tresswell's correspondence. Nicholas attended to the estate, yet he continued to seek Selena's opinion upon books, music, and whatever subject had provoked his interest at dinner. Nothing in those days required rescue. No new danger threatened Daphne, and Mr. Crowther's negotiations with Godfrey proceeded beyond Nicholas's power to hasten them. Yet their conversations continued without urgency or excuse. She discovered that he read quickly and argued slowly, that he enjoyed being contradicted when the objection was sound, and that the rare warmth of his laughter was worth the effort of provoking it. The exhilaration of the walled garden settled into something quieter. It did not diminish. Nearly a fortnight after Rupert's departure, Selena was returning Nicholas's novel to the shelves of the small library when he entered. He left the door open behind him.
I had hoped to find you alone.
The gravity in his expression made her fingers tighten upon the book.
Should I be alarmed?
No, but I find myself less certain of my words than usual.
That does not sound like you.
Nor have I ever had so much at stake.
Her gaze dropped to the book in her hands. The memory of his kiss beneath the roses remained vivid enough to quicken her pulse. Nicholas remained near the door.
I have spent the days since we stood beneath the roses considering what that evening meant to me. Time has not made me less certain.
Selena looked up.
That evening I asked for a kiss. Today, I must ask for more.
He held her gaze.
I love you. Will you become my wife?
For one suspended moment, happiness rose so swiftly that it nearly carried her answer with it. Nicholas believed her to be a penniless companion whose future depended upon the kindness of others. Mr. Crowther might never recover a penny of her inheritance, yet Nicholas stood before her asking for nothing but herself. That knowledge should have made the answer easy. Instead, fear followed close behind it.
Mr. Crowther may not succeed. My fortune may be lost beyond recovery.
I understand.
And you would still marry me?
Selena, I am not proposing to your fortune.
The answer should have silenced every doubt. Instead, it awakened the one she had been afraid to examine.
That is precisely what frightens me.
Nicholas's expression changed.
Why?
You have been generous to me from the beginning. And now I have helped to spare Daphne the fate I nearly suffered myself. How can I be certain that gratitude has not become confused with love?
Selena.
I have no fortune, Nicholas. Nothing to bring you that could possibly equal what you have offered me. And you are too honourable to leave me unprotected after all that has happened. I cannot marry you while I fear that you are asking because you feel indebted to me, or because you cannot bear to see me hurt again.
Her fingers tightened upon the book.
You think I have mistaken pity for love?
I think compassion can resemble love when it is felt deeply enough.
Not to the man who feels it.
I believed Rupert loved me. I was certain of it.
Her voice faltered.
I cannot enter another marriage upon a certainty I am afraid to question.
Nicholas was silent.
I do not believe you would deceive me deliberately,
she continued.
But I cannot accept you while I fear that you are offering marriage because you believe I have nothing and no one else.
And so your answer must be no.
The word hurt even when spoken by him.
Yes.
He looked away for a moment, then met her eyes again.
I could argue with every reason you have given me, but I will not attempt to persuade you into trusting my feelings.
I am sorry.
You owe me no apology. I asked for your answer, not merely the answer I wanted.
His calm acceptance made the refusal more painful, not less.
Nothing I have done for you was a bargain, Selena,
he continued.
It does not become one because I asked for more. My friendship remains yours, as does any assistance you are willing to accept.
I never believed you would withdraw them.
Perhaps not, but I would have you hear it from me.
She wanted him to cross the room. She wanted him to take her hands and insist that she was mistaken until his certainty became her own. Instead, he gave her precisely the freedom she had asked of him.
I shall not ask you again,
he said. Her heart contracted.
Never.
Not unless you give me reason to believe your answer has changed.
Nicholas bowed with perfect courtesy and left the library. His footsteps receded along the passage. Selena remained beside the table, one hand resting upon the book she had meant to return. Rupert had taught her that tenderness could conceal calculation and that a man's devotion might vanish with her marriage portion. She had refused Nicholas not because his words had failed to move her, but because Rupert had made believing them feel dangerous. Yet Nicholas had accepted her refusal without anger, argument, or reproach. He had asked for her answer and honoured it, although it had caused him pain. As his footsteps faded, Selena wondered whether she had protected herself from another betrayal or allowed Rupert's betrayal to choose for her once more. Chapter 10. Ask Me Again. Montford Park, near Frome, Somerset. October to December 1817. A fortnight had passed since Selena refused Nicholas's proposal. Several days earlier, Mr. Crowther had written that his inquiries had reached a stage at which Selena's presence might soon be required. He asked her to remain at Montford Park and promised to attend her as soon as he had definite news. He offered no indication of whether Godfrey had agreed to the terms proposed. Nicholas had sent word through Lady Tresswell that Montford Park remained at their disposal for as long as Selena's affairs required it. Throughout the fortnight, he had never been cold to Selena. At dinner, he included her in conversation. If she required the carriage or wished to send a letter, the servants received immediate instructions. But he did not seek her company, sit beside her, or attempt to speak with her alone. He had accepted her refusal without allowing it to alter his kindness. She had believed his distance would bring relief. Instead, she discovered how often she looked for him. Mr. Crowther arrived shortly before luncheon with a leather dispatch case beneath his arm. Selena received him in the library with Lady Tresswell, Daphne, and Nicholas. He placed several documents upon the table.
Your uncle has executed the deed and formally acknowledged the debt of £10,000 owing to you under your father's trust.
Selena looked at the pages of dense legal writing.
Does that mean the money has been restored?
Not yet, but the whole sum is now secured. The 2 Western farms are to be sold, and the proceeds invested in government stock for your benefit in the names of new trustees.
And if the farms do not bring the full amount?
Until the debt has been discharged, you will hold the first charge upon Quenby Lodge and the remainder of the estate. Your uncle cannot sell or mortgage any part of it without first satisfying your claim.
What will happen to my aunt?
If the farms bring what we expect, Quenby Lodge need not be sold. If they do not, the house may eventually have to be sold, but she will have ample time to make other arrangements.
Selena rested her fingertips upon the deed.
I do not want her punished for what my uncle did.
Justice need not require cruelty,
Mr. Crowther said.
The deed secures your rights without requiring Mrs. Quenby to leave her home at once.
He turned to the final page and indicated where Selena must sign. The pen felt unexpectedly heavy in her hand. Her inheritance had not yet been made whole, but it no longer depended upon Godfrey's word. The debt had been acknowledged, and the estate her money had preserved now secured its repayment. She signed her name. Mr. Crowther sanded the page.
Your right to the whole sum is now secured by law, Miss Quenby. It cannot be used again without your consent.
Across the room, Selena met Nicholas's eyes.
I am glad,
he said simply. Mr. Crowther gathered the documents, explaining that the original would be lodged with the new trustees. Nicholas accompanied him from the library. The deed had transformed her prospects. It altered nothing in Nicholas's conduct toward her. He remained kind and no nearer than her refusal permitted. It had also removed the last practical reason for Selena and Lady Tresswell to remain at Montford Park. Lady Tresswell proposed that they return to Bath the day after tomorrow, and Selena could think of no reason to delay. Their departure was settled. The following morning, with their departure set for the next day, Selena accompanied Lady Tresswell into Frome. Daphne had slept poorly, and Selena wished to bring her something cheerful. They found an absurdly romantic novel in 3 volumes and added a small packet of sugared violets. While the bookseller prepared their purchases, Selena remembered a pair of dove-grey kid gloves, stitched at the wrists with darker silk, that she had noticed in the window of the adjoining shop.
I believe I shall go back for those gloves,
she said. Lady Tresswell smiled.
You should. You have spent the entire morning thinking of Daphne. You may spare a few minutes for yourself.
Selena left her inside the bookseller's shop and entered the neighbouring establishment. For once she allowed herself to purchase something for no reason beyond the pleasure it gave her. A few minutes later, she stepped onto the pavement with the small parcel in her hand. The Montford carriage waited nearby, with a footman standing beside it. A man emerged from the coaching inn opposite. She recognised Rupert before he removed his hat. His presence at that precise moment could not be accidental. He must have watched her enter the shop.
Selena.
She stopped several paces from him.
You may address me as Miss Quenby.
Annoyance crossed his face before the familiar charm returned.
I came as soon as I heard about the arrangement with your uncle.
Who informed you?
Mr. Quenby himself. He wrote after executing the deed to accuse me of having brought Mr. Crowther's inquiries upon him. It seems he believes my correspondence helped establish your claim. I called at Montford Park this morning, but the servants refused to admit me.
Rupert's gaze shifted briefly toward the Montford carriage. Selena understood. He had recognised the livery from the coaching inn and watched for someone from the household to emerge. Selena glanced toward the footman who remained within sight.
What do you want?
To repair a mistake that has cost us both too much.
I would not call it a mistake. You knew I was innocent before you sent your accusation to the church. Your own reply to my uncle proves it.
I will not defend every word written in anger. We were both deceived.
I was deceived. You were told the truth.
I was told by a man who had already lied to me about the money. Why should I have trusted his assurance that you were ignorant?
You might have asked me before condemning me and abandoning me at the altar.
I acted rashly. I admit it.
Rupert stepped nearer.
But the obstacle that separated us no longer exists. Your fortune is now secured.
No apology. No repentance. Only the calculation that £10,000 might once more be within his reach.
What are you suggesting?
But we repair the past. You and I are free to fulfill the intention with which we began.
Less than a month ago, you asked Daphne to elope with you.
His expression hardened.
She chose to submit to her brother's wishes. That unfortunate business is ended.
And so you have returned to me.
I have come to offer marriage despite everything that has occurred. Does that mean nothing?
It tells me precisely what your offer meant the first time.
You cannot wish to remain a paid companion when marriage to me would restore your proper place in society. Whatever attachment you imagine exists between you and Lord Montford, a man in his position will not marry a woman who entered his house as another woman's companion.
Lord Montford has no part in my answer.
Rupert searched her face.
You loved me once.
I loved the man I believed you to be.
I am that man.
No, you are the man who saw £10,000 within reach and decided that you loved me again.
For the first time, his anger showed without disguise.
You would throw away your future because your pride has been wounded.
My fortune will be restored, sir. My respect for you will not.
Lady Tresswell emerged from the shop and looked from Selena to Rupert.
Is this gentleman troubling you?
No,
Selena said.
Not any longer.
She entered the carriage without looking back. Nicholas was crossing the entrance hall when they returned. Lady Tresswell waited until the servants had left the hall before telling him that Rupert had approached Selena in Frome.
Did Sedgwick frighten you?
He asked Selena.
No, he angered me.
What did he want?
To renew our engagement. He had heard about the deed.
Nicholas's face hardened.
What answer did you give him?
That I would not marry a man I could no longer respect.
Some of the tension left his face.
He attempted to call here this morning and was refused admittance.
Nicholas said.
He has already caused Daphne enough pain. I will not permit him to remain where he may trouble either of you. He will leave the neighbourhood before nightfall.
Thank you.
He bowed and continued toward the front doors. Selena remained where she was, the small parcel of gloves held between her hands, until the door closed behind him. At 6:30 that evening, Selena sat with Lady Tresswell in her sitting room, removing her new gloves from their paper wrapping.
Daphne has agreed to dine downstairs this evening,
Lady Tresswell said.
Lord Montford's aunt has suggested the family dining room. Lord Montford leaves for London at 7, so we shall be a small party.
One of the gloves slipped from Selena's fingers.
At 7?
Lady Tresswell looked up.
This evening?
Yes.
Selena stared at the dove-grey glove upon the carpet.
He did not tell me.
Were you expecting him to?
No, not after I refused him.
Lady Tresswell set aside the letter she had been reading.
Lord Montford asked you to marry him.
Nearly a fortnight after Rupert left.
And you refused him?
Yes.
Why?
I could not be certain that love was the reason he had asked. I feared that gratitude for what I had done for Daphne and compassion for my position had become, in his mind, a duty to protect me.
And now?
He said he would not ask again, unless I gave him reason to believe my answer had changed.
Then his silence may be his way of keeping that promise.
Lady Tresswell studied her.
Has your answer changed?
Selena thought of Rupert returning at the first mention of her fortune, and Nicholas preparing to leave without asking anything more of her.
I was afraid to believe him,
she said.
Now I'm afraid I shall lose him because I did not.
Lady Tresswell's expression softened.
Then you may wish to speak to him before he leaves.
Selena rose at once. Selena left Lady Tresswell and hurried downstairs. The entrance hall was no longer quiet. A servant carried a portmanteau toward the open front doors, and beyond them came the sounds of horses being brought round. The door of the small library stood open. Nicholas was sealing a letter at the desk where he had once asked Selena to become his wife. He wore a dark travelling coat, and his gloves lay beside his hat. He looked up, surprise crossing his face.
Selena.
Lady Tresswell told me that you were leaving for London.
Yes.
For how long?
I had not decided.
Selena came farther into the room.
I need to speak with you before you go.
Nicholas set down the seal.
I am listening.
The words had seemed clear while she was upstairs. Now, beneath Nicholas's attentive gaze, they deserted her.
I refused you because I no longer trusted my own judgment. Rupert spoke of love while calculating what I was worth to him. When you asked me to marry you while believing my fortune lost, I feared that gratitude for what I had done for Daphne and compassion for my position had become a sense of duty, and that you had mistaken the wish to protect me for the wish to make me your wife.
You had reason to be cautious.
Rupert had given me reason. You had not.
Nicholas said nothing.
You told me that you would not ask again unless I gave you reason to believe my answer had changed.
Yes.
Selena crossed the room.
What you said that morning told me you loved me. What you did after I refused you allowed me to believe it.
The reserve in his expression faltered.
You did not reproach me for disappointing you. You did not withdraw your help or make your kindness into an obligation. You honored my answer, even when it caused you pain.
I had no right to do otherwise.
Rupert would have believed otherwise.
I am not Sedgwick.
I realize that now. That is what I came to tell you.
Hope entered his face, but still he did not approach her.
Are you asking me to stay?
Yes,
Selena drew a breath.
but not merely because your departure troubles me.
Beyond the windows, the carriage lamps glowed against the gathering darkness.
I do not know when I began to love you. Perhaps it was when you asked what I wished instead of deciding for me. Perhaps it was when you believed me before you had proof. Perhaps it was when you held out your hand and waited for me to take it.
Selena.
I came because I love you. If I allowed you to leave without telling you, it would not be caution. It would be fear making another choice in my name.
Nicholas searched her face.
Have you come to give me reason to believe your answer has changed?
I have.
He came toward her but stopped before touching her.
Then I must ask again.
Selena could hear the rapid beat of her own heart.
Selena Quenby, I love you. I want you beside me for every year that remains to me. Will you marry me?
Yes.
An unguarded smile transformed his face.
May I kiss you?
Selena smiled through unexpected tears.
You may.
His hands framed her face. This time he kissed her without hesitation. Selena caught the front of his coat and drew closer, discovering how different happiness felt when it no longer frightened her. When he lifted his head, he kept her within his arms. From the hall came the discreet sound of someone clearing his throat. Nicholas's valet stood near the open door, studying the opposite wall.
My lord, the carriage is ready.
Nicholas looked at Selena.
Tell the coachman that my journey is postponed until after the wedding.
The valet bowed and withdrew.
Until after the wedding?
Selena asked.
If you have no objection.
Her smile returned.
None at all.
Mr. Crowther prepared a marriage settlement preserving Selena's fortune for her separate use. Nicholas accepted every provision without objection. Neither the capital nor its income could pass into her husband's control without her consent. A purchaser was found for the Western farms, and the agreed price was sufficient to replace the full capital. Quenby Lodge need not be sold. Godfrey retained the house, but lost the land and income that had supported many of his comforts. Selena felt no triumph in his reduced circumstances, only relief that her aunt would not lose her home. 6 weeks later, Selena stood once more in the bedchamber at Quenby Lodge, while her aunt fastened the pearl comb that had belonged to Selena's mother. She had chosen to wear the same ivory wedding gown. For a time she had considered another. Then she understood that the gown belonged neither to Rupert nor to the morning upon which he had abandoned her. It belonged to her. Godfrey had left for London to complete the conveyance of the Western farms. He made no request to attend the wedding, and Selena did not ask him to. Daphne held Selena's bouquet of late pink roses from Montford Park's hothouse, white Michaelmas daisies that the head gardener had coaxed into late bloom beneath glass, and sprigs of myrtle.
Are you happy?
Mrs. Quenby asked. Selena met her aunt's eyes in the mirror.
I am.
Her aunt's fingers lingered against Selena's hair.
You look very like your mother.
I wish she could have been here.
Tears filled Mrs. Quenby's eyes.
I wish I had known what Godfrey had done.
You could not have known. He deceived you too.
I should have protected you.
You loved me and gave me a home. None of this was your fault.
Selena took her hands. Mrs. Quenby pressed them before releasing her. Daphne stepped forward and offered Selena the bouquet.
The carriage is ready.
Selena had told herself that she would not ask. The question escaped all the same.
Has Nicholas reached the church?
Daphne smiled.
A groom brought word from St. Michael's a quarter of an hour ago. Nicholas is already there, and he asked me to tell you that he is waiting.
Selena looked down at her bouquet, unable to prevent her smile. When the carriage reached St. Michael's, the church bells were ringing. Lady Tresswell waited near the porch, magnificent in violet silk and already dabbing her eyes.
"The wind is intolerable,"
she announced.
"There is scarcely a breeze,"
Daphne said.
"Then we shall blame the bells."
Selena looked through the open church doors. Every pew was filled. At the altar stood Nicholas, already waiting. For an instant, Selena remembered the whispers, the faltering organ, and the empty place where Rupert should have stood. The memory did not vanish. It simply ceased to command her. Selena stepped into the aisle. Her aunt and Daphne followed a few paces behind. No letter lay in the vicar's hand. No empty place stood before the altar. When Selena reached him, Nicholas held out his hand. He waited until she placed hers in it. When the vicar asked whether Nicholas would love, comfort, honour and keep her, his voice did not waver.
"I will."
Then the vicar turned to Selena. She met Nicholas's eyes and spoke without fear.
"I will."
The ring slid over her finger. Once the register had been signed, Nicholas bent and kissed her, their first kiss as husband and wife. It was brief enough for propriety, but the tenderness in it made Selena's eyes sting. They left St. Michael's together as the bells rang above them and cheers rose from the crowded churchyard. The wedding breakfast at Quenby Lodge looked much like the one that had stood untouched months before. But this time, the bridegroom was beside her, every chair was occupied, and the feast would be shared among family and friends. Raised game pies with golden crusts stood beside platters of glazed ham and cold roast fowl. There were hot rolls with fresh butter and apricot preserve, lemon cheesecakes, almond biscuits, bowls of syllabub dusted with nutmeg. A large bride cake, rich with currants, candied peel, almonds and spice beneath its smooth white icing, occupied the centre of the table. At the sideboard, the same bottles of champagne that had remained unopened after Rupert's flight now stood in fresh ice. This time, the corks were drawn, and the pale wine foamed into waiting glasses. Conversation and laughter rose above the clatter of plates. At the far end of the table, Daphne sat beside the vicar's nephew, a pleasant young gentleman with sandy hair and a ready smile. He said something that made her laugh. She answered with a glance from beneath her lashes that encouraged him to try again. Nicholas followed Selena's gaze. Lady Tresswell noticed his expression.
"Do not glower, Lord Montford. The gentleman has done nothing more reprehensible than make your sister laugh."
I was not glowering.
"Then your face has been grievously misunderstood."
Selena lowered her eyes to conceal her smile. Nicholas bent closer, his voice meant for her alone.
"Do you regret marrying me?"
"I have been your wife for less than an hour."
A prudent woman would have discovered her mistake by now.
Selena laughed.
"Then I fear you have married a very imprudent woman."
I had begun to hope so.
Selena let her gaze travel around the room. Her aunt was smiling, Daphne was laughing. Mr. Crowther had accepted a glass of champagne after Lady Tresswell declared that no solicitor should remain entirely sober at the wedding of a bride whose fortune he had helped restore.
"No, I do not regret it."
His hand closed around hers beneath the table. Epilogue. 3 years later, Montford Park was filled once more with summer visitors. Daphne arrived last with her husband, the sandy-haired gentleman who had first made her laugh at Selena's wedding breakfast. He was the vicar's nephew, but also the younger son of a respectable landed family and a barrister of growing reputation. His own income was comfortable, his expectations modest, and he had asked Daphne to marry him without knowing the amount of her marriage portion. Their courtship had proceeded without secrecy or haste. The fortune Daphne brought to the marriage was welcome, but he delighted far more in her high spirits, her quick opinions, and the laughter that had first drawn him across the breakfast table. Nicholas had approved the match, although Lady Tresswell maintained that his consent had been secured chiefly by his reluctant discovery that no gentleman would ever be entirely worthy of his sister. Daphne's marriage had brought her neither the grandest title nor the most fashionable address in London. It had given her a home in which laughter came easily, disagreement carried no threat, and love required no proofs. Their infant son travelled with them, accompanied by so much luggage that Nicholas declared the child appeared to require a household of his own. Selena welcomed them from the terrace, her young daughter holding her hand and Nicholas standing beside her. Marriage had made Selena Countess of Montford, but the title had not changed how Nicholas regarded his wife. He sought her counsel on estate matters, looked for her first whenever he entered a crowded room, and waited for her answer instead of presuming it. Her restored fortune remained protected by the marriage settlement Mr. Crowther had prepared. Selena devoted part of its income to educating the daughters of clergymen and officers whose gentility offered little protection against poverty. Mr. Crowther administered the fund with solemn efficiency, while Lady Tresswell proposed so many beneficiaries that he occasionally suspected her of intending to educate every insufficiently provided young lady in England. Mrs. Quenby remained at Quenby Lodge and visited Montford Park often. Her life with Godfrey had become quieter and considerably less comfortable after the sale of the Western farms. Godfrey had satisfied the debt, although he never offered the apology Selena might once have desired. She treated him with civility when they met, but no longer sought either his guidance or his approval. She owed him nothing more. Rupert Sedgwick had gone abroad ahead of several creditors who proved less susceptible to his explanations than he had expected. His name was seldom mentioned at Montford Park. When it was, neither Selena nor Daphne felt anything but relief that he was gone. That afternoon, the family gathered beneath the lime trees. Lady Tresswell presided over the tea table. Daphne's infant son slept in his nurse's arms, and Mrs. Quenby entertained Selena's daughter upon her lap. Daphne laughed at something her husband had said, while he watched her with unconcealed affection. Nicholas stood beside Selena, his hand resting lightly at her back. Once, Selena had believed that being chosen meant finding a gentleman waiting for her at the altar. The years since had taught her that love was not proved in a single moment. It revealed itself in ordinary mornings, in shared decisions, in laughter across a dinner table, and in the certainty that it would remain when there was nothing to prove and nothing to gain. Nicholas's hand slipped from her back and closed around hers. Selena looked over the gathering and felt his thumb brush gently across her fingers. Her first journey to St. Michael's as a bride had ended with an empty place at the altar. Her second had begun this life. Selena turned toward Nicholas and found him already looking at her. The end. And so, Selena learned that being chosen was not a single moment at an altar, but a love that remained when there was nothing to prove and nothing to gain. If this story stayed with you, more listener favourites are waiting in the Ton's Top 10 Favourite Tales. These are the romances listeners have loved most over the past 28 days. As new favourites emerge, the selection will change, so there will always be something fresh waiting for you. Tap the playlist on your screen to continue listening. I shall return soon with another romance, unless I am stood up at the altar, which would be particularly surprising, as I am already married.